It's Friday, June 13th, 2025. So, we'll start as we atypically do by telling you if you'd like to support our show, you can go to supportourshow.com. And I also want to note that I am adding new designs to my Threadless shop constantly. So if you haven't looked in a while, there's likely new stuff there as a, because the support page doesn't tell you if stuff has been updated or not. Like there's no new design. Like I don't do any of that stuff. It's just literally all the things. So if you haven't gotten a while, there are new things there. Because I basically, anything that I draw and finish, with very rare exception, gets dumped onto a shirt. And when I put them on a Threadless, I put them on everything. I don't know why. Oh, no, I didn't. No, wait, did I? No, I didn't. I think I somehow did not have the Pride version of Shieldred on there. I think I put the variant, but didn't put the other one. Oh, no, I must have, because I remember that woman bought the shirt. So, yeah, so for Pride Month, there is a Pride version of Shieldred. Oh, what it was is I hadn't ordered one until last week. I now have one of those coming, so I can wear it. That's right, so it is there. So, there are several Pride-themed designs. Just in case you're looking for something to get somebody, there is artwork on there that is all-inclusive, because I don't care what anybody wants to do as long as they're happy. So if you want a version of Shieldred with every color that currently exists, including,
and it doesn't,
as far as I know, they're all there.
And it doesn't hurt others. And that's the other part you have to put on there.
Unless they want to be hurt. You have to allow that.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Then,
yes, people, you have to go. Yeah, then you have to go that extra step. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Whatever that makes them happy, as long as it doesn't hurt others, unless they want to be hurt. There you go.
Yeah, there is that contingent, which is easy to say. Just don't hurt anybody else. Well, if I want my balls stepped on and I'm willing to pay somebody, that's my thing. I hear it's big on the Wall Street types.
And honestly, like that is a personal mistake of mine growing up. Is that there are people who do want to be hurt.
Yeah, I used to say the same thing. So now it's kind of, you almost have to say, as long as you're not hurting anyone non-consensually.
Yeah.
You have to you have to say that, or just say whatever's making you happy. If pain is part of that, well, go for it.
With consent.
Have a safe word, though. No matter what anybody says, have a safe word, because weird stuff happens. You could just have an aneurysm, So I know people like to live on the edge, but you don't want to have a heart attack and not be able to indicate to somebody that something's happening. So have a safe word. Just a tip. It's never happened to me, but I imagine it could. And the older you get, this stuff becomes not as out of the realm of possibility anymore. One of the things that I really hate about aging, I don't mind the lines. I've been losing my hair forever. I don't care. Graying. And that stuff bothers me. One of the things that bothers me most about aging is that there's no indicator from your body that one day to the next, you suddenly can't do something you did every day before that the same way. And then suddenly it's like, ow! And now you realize, oh, that does not anymore withstand that particular stressor. So.
I get that, I think, way more than you, because I lift weights as like 3 times a week, and I do a lot of other stuff throughout the week. Me and my body are in a constant tug of war of, you can't do that. Sure. Well, we are doing it. Well, you're going to get hurt. We'll figure out a way around it. I'm going to freeze you. Oh, no, you've frozen me. Like, there's all these, like, stupid things you do, where you're trying to work around your body. You're trying to get your body to keep going. And, I mean, listen, my mother is 83, and she called me today and she was like, "Hey, I did a 10K this morning." And I was like, "That's awesome." And the thing is that she is one of these people that because she was active, she was really inactive for many years. But when she was in her 40s, she basically said, "I'm tired of looking like an old lady." And she just started running and rollerblading and doing all this stuff, and she maintained it. And so, like, she's 83 now, and she's still, I mean, she did a fucking 10K. And like, I look at that and I'm like, Jesus, like, I'm that's not my area of expertise. So like, I'm impressed by that. But the fact that she's 83 and she's still doing it, and I think the thing about getting older while still remaining physically active is kind of like accepting the fact that your body can do more than you think it can do, but there's also plenty that you have to accept is now gone, and you got to figure out a way to work around it.
Well, and to me, I don't mind that either. It's just that there's no real indicator until something breaks.
No, and that's the whole.
In many cases,
you bend over.
That's the annoyance.
You bend over 100 times.
If I woke up,
yeah,
and there was a like a welt on my hand that said you cannot do this anymore, and then it went away, I'd be like, okay, got it.
A signal went off.
Yeah,
but it's the whole. Like, it's when you look in the hurt your back. You bend over 100 times, and then you bend over to pick a key or something else, or a feather, and then all of a sudden your back's like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, or the kind of classic joke of I sneezed and my back went out. It's like, okay, wait a second, I can't sneeze now.
Yeah.
I've been lucky; I haven't had that yet. But
my wife is sure that she will find me dead in the gym. And I have I've turned the garage into a gym. She's sure. Yeah. She used to worry when we lived in Vermont. My gym was my office in the basement. And she used to worry because she would hear heavy things falling and hitting the ground because it was on concrete. And she used to be like, for years she would hear these loud noises and be like, "Is he dead? Did he drop something?" Yeah, well, it's like, "Is he okay?"
See, and that's where I know you hate watches, but you should get something that you wear when you exercise that will signal somebody if a problem happens.
I would kill a watch so quick if I lift weights.
No. I wouldn't wear it all the time.
No. I tried wearing a watch while I was lifting weights. Just to see if I could get my heart rate off of it.
Well, they probably make something else.
And man, I thought I was going to crack that screen so many times.
I don't you know what about the I don't know if smart rings do that. Smart rings might do that.
No, a Fitbit. I mean, honestly, a Fitbit would be the thing, wouldn't it? But I gave up a watch 20 years ago.
Well, that's what I'm saying is something that's not a watch is the smart rings I think do it too. Just something that's, and that would
watches make me think of wearing handcuffs. But yes, we are of an age where men start to just drop dead.
Yeah, well, like I said,
right?
I'm not even so much. Well, it's basically once they tell you. What did they tell me? I think they said 45 now is when they start screening for colon cancer. It used to be 50. Yeah. So that's the signal. Once they start looking, well, there's that. But once you start having to take tests for things like that, I mean, it's that particular element doesn't bother me as much because I'm like, there's so much cancer in my family. I'm just waiting for it. So
I had a wonderful moment the other day in the bank that I want to share with you. So you know how TD Bank got in trouble for money laundering, right? Did you know this?
I heard about it.
Yeah, there was a huge case,
like
right?
so many, but
yeah. And the thing is, right after that happened, suddenly TD Bank started asking everybody where they got their cash, and it was this whole. Like, this is the classic, I did something wrong, so I need to accuse everybody else, right? So,
sure.
And it was very public. I mean, it's not like it was insinuated. No, they got caught. They were caught, and they were fined a lot of money, right? So ever since then, they've mandated now that, like, if anyone brings in cash, like a large amount of cash, it has to be, they question you. Where did this money come from? And, like, my wife has told me I can't turn around and say, well, I was money laundering for TD Bank. Because apparently that's not an answer that they like. But I get annoyed because kind of like, fuck you. This is not your job to police. I was like, I pay my taxes. I was like, if the police is unhappy with, or if the IRS is unhappy with, they can talk to me. It's like, fuck you. But they ask me every time, right? So the other day I went in to a branch that I don't normally go in, and I always put my money in, and they were like, you know how I look. I'm a big guy. I got a lot of tattoos, right?
Yeah.
And they were kind of being assholes, like, well, where did this come from? Do you have receipts for this? And I was like, son of a bitch.
I deal steroids. Look at me.
And I said, well, I was like, I made it. I just basically said, I made it dancing. And they were like, dancing? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, that kind of dancing. And the woman turned bright red, and she didn't speak to me the rest of the time we were there. And she put the money through and didn't say anything to me, and I was like, yes. And I told my wife about that, and she was like, I can't believe you. And I was like, what? I was like, you told me I couldn't tell him I was money laundering for TD Bank. So I told the mill something to shut the fuck up. So, you know, I told her that I did that kind of dancing. Now, the funny part here is, I never said that I was an exotic dancer. I just said that I did that kind of dancing and smiled. I think that you have to have a bit of a perverted mind to then insinuate that it, you know, what that means.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, it certainly says as much about the person making the assumption as it does about the person making the statement. I would agree with that.
Yep, and me, I just got tired of being asked. You know, and the funny thing is, like, I've had bank accounts with other banks, and I've never been questioned. And it's this whole thing where it's like, no, TD Bank got in trouble, so now they've mandated everyone's got to ask. We have to make a big show of showing that we are not money laundering for the drug cartels, which is what they were doing. And it's like, Jesus Christ. So you corporately fucked up, and now the rest of us have to deal with your bullshit. It's like, that's insufferable.
Yeah, that's typically how it works.
But what I wanted to ask you when we first started recording was, what are the chances that Tron Ares is actually going to come out now?
What do you mean?
Did you read about Jared Leto?
Oh, I don't think that matters.
No, you don't think that Disney is going to get nervous about nine accusations?
Okay. I'm not saying no. I don't think that's going to stop the movie.
You don't think they'll put it off?
Well, okay, so much of that film is undoubtedly digital, right?
Yeah.
You remember that they did the face sub for, what was it, Liam Neeson on Kevin Spacey or whatever for that other movie?
Oh my God, do you think they'll take him out?
Why not? Who cares?
That would be bold for a movie.
I mean, why not? I mean, if there's any movie where it's going to be more acceptable...
Yeah, I mean...
than any other, it's gonna be Tron.
Yeah, the weird thing with Jared Leto, too, is that he... You know, I acknowledge the fact that there are times that he could be a really great actor, but why has he become such an insufferable actor? Like, when you hear he's in a movie, you're just like, oh, okay. Maybe this will be okay. Yeah. Like, he is, for what is not a great movie, he is the worst part of Suicide Squad. And you know what that is?
And I would argue Blade Runner 2049, too.
Oh, is he the worst part
Did you forget that he's the genius in that?
You know, I think I actively forgot that he was in that.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, and then you sit there and you go, why? Why did you pick him? Like, what is it about Jared Leto that interests a director or a casting director? Whatever,
I really don't know. I don't know.
When he was younger, you know, what was the show he did? I always called it The Wonder Years with Claire Danes. What was that show that like all the girls were crazy about?
Oh, My So-Called Life?
Was it My So-Called Life?
Yeah, that's it. Called? That's the one.
Right. So he was
that's the Claire Danes one.
Yeah. So he was like the sexy jock, you know, in that, you know, in that show, and that's what kind of started Jared Leto's career. And I get the sense that he's kind of pulled the Harry Potter, where like ever since Daniel Radcliffe did Harry Potter, he's been trying really hard to do any fucked up role he can to just put as much distance between him and the Harry Potter franchise to say, hey, listen, guys, look at me. I can do other acting. I'm a good actor. And that's the thing is, I think Daniel Radcliffe is fantastic. I always love the weird shit he pops up in, right? I have a lot of respect for his willingness to just do all kinds of fucked up roles. I mean, he did Swiss Army Man, where he's basically like he played a corpse. And Guns Akimbo, which is such a fucked up movie. But Leto, but I think is I haven't heard anything about Daniel Radcliffe being, you know, creepy, rapey.
Jared Leto has a long history of doing things and then blaming it on being in the method acting style, which is nonsense. I mean, it's just
all the weird shit with the Joker, where he was like sending people condoms.
It's I was one of the reasons that method actors piss me off, because they have traditionally used it as an excuse. You know, and not every method acting has become this thing that they just say they're doing, which is not, you know, it's like anything else. So there are, like, Val Kilmer was notoriously a monster in his method acting thing. Now, I never heard, doesn't mean there isn't, but I suspect it's very possible that he was probably not sexually assaulting people, but it's very clear that he was at least verbally and emotionally abusive to people when he was doing these roles. And I'm sorry, there's no excuse for it. There just isn't. I don't want to hear that you need to be a monster to portray a monster. And the reason I know you don't need to do it is there's normal actors who don't do that shit and they're great. So
it's
kiss my ass with this method shit.
It's called acting. That's the whole
it's
point.
Bullshit. This method thing is fucking nonsense. I'm not saying that there aren't actors who have to immerse themselves to act as people that they would never be. You can certainly do that. But almost all the ones who don't somehow come off as pieces of shit from one end of the spectrum to another, almost all of them will tell you that they actually have to disconnect from that so that they don't become those people. They know that there's a point where they have to break from it, because if you just keep acting like an asshole, you will become an asshole by habit. So, again, it's a bunch of horse shit. So this stuff with Leto and all the other ones who do this stuff, I mean, I've always seen it as they're trying to pass off being monstrous by saying, it's because I need to be in the character, and if I'm not a monster, then I can't truly portray one. Which, again, nonsense, because some of the greatest actors who've ever lived did it without it.
I think it goes worse with Leto, too, because he's also wants to be a rock star.
Oh, so that's what I'm saying. There's a range of like I said, Kilmer, as far as I know, that we've ever publicly heard or seen.
I have never read that he was sexually.
That's what I'm saying. He was a Russell Crowe type asshole.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is, I don't want to work with this person because they're a dick. That's a different thing than, oh, I was 17 and this guy walked out fully in the nude and went, haha, joke's on you, I'm in method.
Well, was it Brando in was it Last Dance in Paris?
Oh, yeah. Well, let me tell you something.
That's the high watermark for
gang
rape, isn't it?
That was gang rape because everybody was in on it. Like the director, like this was not an unknown thing. They were all aware, and they took advantage of that woman. Those people should have all gone to prison. So, whatever. This is Brando's a perfect example of people who get brought up, and just because they're seen as great in their field, somehow their indiscretions are laughed away.
Yeah, he was. It's not funny. It's awful. Like when I found out about that, they pass it off
as well. He's Brando, though. You know.
When I found out about that, and like I don't even want to get into it because it's so gross. But like when I found out about it, I was just like, oh my god! I was like, how is that excusable?
It's not.
You know, like, the terrible thing for the actress is she's sitting there going, I can't do anything necessarily about this because I'll lose my job. I'll lose my job. Nobody will believe me. Nothing will happen. Yeah. I'll get blacklisted. Whereas, you just want to grab a frying pan and go to town.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't give a pass to it. You know, fuck Marlon Brando. I don't give a shit. I hope he's burning in hell.
But
I don't care.
The thing is, the second I saw that Leto had been accused, I was like, oh man. I was like, I wonder if.
Well, but what I'm saying is, of all the companies too, would Disney give two shits about digitally replacing him?
No, and I didn't think of that as an option. I haven't thought it, but you remember we were talking about Gaimon before Neil Gaimon before we started recording, because I was like, I wonder what the hell those cases are, and I was saying that I wonder if he'll get legally in trouble. But here's the thing. He has gotten the Kevin Spacey treatment. All his projects on Amazon were canceled. In fact, they were going to get rid of Good Omens, and I think it was the only reason they're getting their mini series or their short or I think a TV movie is because David Tennant and Martin Sheen were like, we really want to finish this story, and he has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? This last season will be their project. Right, this is Sheen and Tennant pushing it,
and that's okay. I think that
But them saying is they've taken all this shit away from him because people are like, no, we don't want to work with that.
Well, okay, let's put a caveat here. They've taken all this shit away from him for right now.
Yeah,
because almost all these people who are somebody put a post about this on Blue Sky, and they're absolutely right. Yeah. All these people who are supposedly canceled are back doing stuff. All of them.
Yeah, but
Even
Kevin,
that
listen,
James.
What?
No,
Franco?
Spacey's working.
No. What I was
James
saying
Frey, the guy who wrote the book that Oprah got exposed because he completely plagiarized it. Now he's coming. He's got to come back to. They all come back because people forget.
Kevin Spacey has not come back to where he was before. Is what I'm saying. He may be acting, but he's not acting in like.
Well, what is back to where he was before mean? He's not living on the street, is he?
No, he's not. But he never listen.
Then
he
I don't
never
want to hear
it. Somebody was always going to hire him, regardless.
Yeah, then I don't give a shit. You know.
You know, it's just that he's not going to be the in a bunch of blockbuster movies and be like the guy that everybody instantly casts. For a while there, Kevin Spacey was in fucking everything. And
I don't disagree.
And
but
the question,
and
the question of when they're allowed to come back. This is a question you and I have debated in the past because there's no clear answer. When does somebody vindicated of the things that they've done? When have they paid for it? Do they ever pay for it? You know, because we were talking about like Louis C.K. The fact that Louis C.K. is basically doing stand-up again, and the whole idea is like, well, you know, if that's what he's good at and that's what he can make money at, and people will still pay him, is it wrong that he's back to it? And it's the question.
You know what? I'll tell you something that I don't think people have a great enough appreciation of. And it's one of the reasons that, in particular, people who struggle with alcohol and go into AA, I have a great amount of respect for, because one of the things that you do in AA is one of the things they say when they speak. The first thing is, my name is whatever, and I'm an alcoholic. They say it so that there is no forgetting or passing it over in their own head of what's going on.
Yeah, you did the thing. It's you.
If Kevin Spacey went and worked with victims, and the first thing he said was, my name is Kevin Spacey, and I am a convicted sex or whatever, and he worked to try to repair others' lives?
I am or I was a sexual predator?
No, M. I think M.
So you think that somebody will always be a sexual predator?
Well, okay. If you did something to someone, you are always a sexual predator. Okay. It doesn't mean the same way that a person is always an alcoholic. It doesn't mean they're going to be drunk their whole life.
No, but they can't go near it again because it's dangerous.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They have to say, "This is what I have." It's not saying I'm a bad person. Once I've recognized what it is and I am working to get past it, but this is what I am.
Yeah, when I'll acknowledge it. When I was younger, I loved stimulants, and there were stimulants that were legal when I was like kid, dealing with insomnia. Right, that like it was great that these things were legal. Like epinephrine was legal when I was a kid, and that was great because like I had horrible insomnia. But today, I understand how like dangerous that shit is. And recently, there was a topical cream that had like. There was like 1% of epinephrine in it. And my wife was like, that should be okay, right? And I was like, nope. It's like, I'm not putting that stuff anywhere near me. Yeah. Like, why? I was like, because I really enjoyed that shit when I was younger. I was like, and I acknowledge the fact I should not be with it. You know, it's like, I've said before, I was like, you know, caffeine, stimulants, so these things are all really dangerous. And we don't acknowledge how dangerous they are. And sometimes you're a type of person that you're always going to be drawn to it, which is why you try to keep it out of your scope. You
remember what's his face said in Alien 3? I am a murderer and a rapist of women. He didn't say was. He said
I am. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah. You wouldn't tell a rapist if it happened 20 years ago. No, that was in the past. You're not a rapist anymore. No. Yes, you did. Yes, you are. You raped a woman. Done. I'm not saying you'll ever do it again, but let's not pretend you didn't do that. And if some people think that you shouldn't have to,
it is a question then. Yeah. Is there ever a hope then of coming back from that?
Oh no. This is the thing I don't like. People conflate these things. Those are two separate things.
This is why I'm asking you.
Yeah, of course there is. You can make a mistake, right? But there are mistakes that you should not be allowed to simply pretend didn't happen by either making them in the past as if they didn't happen or were a passing problem, or that you didn't do because it's, you know,
so it should
there's no statute of limitations on these things.
So basically, when you present yourself, you should always present yourself by your worst mistake.
I think,
like as a society, right? Would we be
are
better off?
Mistakes in which that's true.
Where
if you shoplifted a lipstick, do you have to walk in every store and say I'm a shoplifter? No, that's not a crime. Where
I wonder though if we're
You know.
gonna live if that's one of those things in the future. It's like you're gonna walk through a doorway and there's gonna be a little sensor that pops up and
Well,
says, this is Bob,
that's the concern
and Bob
over
is a
all the cameras
shoplifter.
in the.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's why
yeah.
people are concerned about it. Yeah,
Man,
that's a valid concern.
That's gonna make dating very hard. I'm just telling you right now.
Well,
my name is
well,
Jeff,
let me-
and I fucked oh, God, I was trying to come up with an animal. I almost said a goose. So I
Sheep?
was like, I don't know if
Sheep.
that's plausible.
Sheep.
I
go
fucked a
sheep.
sheep once. Yeah, I was kind of fucking a sheep. I had drank 3 bottles of Jägermeister, and I thought it was a woman. And you're like, if that's your opening, Jesus Christ, dating
Well-
would be, man, that'd be a strange, yeah.
There is a warped flip side to that, though,
What?
which is that if you knew that every time you encountered somebody, your history would be available, you'd probably live more carefully.
Younger people would be much more careful. Well, that's the problem we have
Yeah.
right now with young people is they don't realize the shit they put on the internet is going to be there when they're fucking 55, and someone sits there and says, "What is this
But
post
also, okay.
that you?"
Also, let
Yeah.
me ask you this question in all seriousness.
Yeah.
If you met a woman and a thing popped up that said she had sex with a horse when she was 18 once, would that really be a complete deal breaker for you? Because it wouldn't be for me. I'd be like, okay. You know, we all
Okay.
get drunk.
Wow. Well, we've okay.
saying.
A lot has been said here. Okay. So if I met a woman and she had a little thing that popped and it said that she had been found guilty of bestiality, right?
Yeah.
I suppose for the sake of the argument, I would try to find out what happened, the why of it.
I gave you the details once at a young age.
No. See, you can't. There's more to this than that. There's got to be more.
Well,
Because
that's what I said. No, of course there's more, but would that be immediate? You turn around and walk out.
I would definitely have my reservations.
I don't think I would.
Listen.
I would want to know what's going on.
Bestiality. Oh God, I almost forgot. I almost called it necromancy. Necrophiliism. Anything that's kind of like,
I don't.
Yeah, I have reservations.
I guess I'm more.
No, 'cause
I would be interested in the details, but I wouldn't immediately say nope. Spin
I'm
and
not
walk
saying.
out.
Listen. Okay, if I found out somebody was a necrophiliac, that's a red flag. I'm not doing that. Right? Necrophiliac is too far. Somebody who committed an act of bestiality when they were in their teens, right? How old are they when you're meeting them? Are they 40? Are they 20?
No, let's say
22.
Let's say 22. I don't know.
Okay, so 5 years ago they had sex with a horse.
Yes.
I'm gonna have my reservations on this. I will not just discount them, but I will need more. I will need more information because.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you marry this person. I'm saying, would you spin on your heel and immediately leave?
Listen.
And I wouldn't.
I won't disregard them as a person. I might become very good friends with them.
That's why when I say I'm not going to, that's what I'm talking about. Is I'm not going from meet to marry. I'm saying,
but like you're saying, like if you meet someone for a date, if I meet somebody and I'm like, okay, we could be friends, but I don't know if I could do this. But like if I meet someone. That's a red flag, especially if they're like, we're talking like 22. If you're talking to somebody who's like 45, like my age, right? And you're like, yeah, when I was, 16, 17, or you know what? This'll, someone will be like, oh, I was in a pornographic movie when I was 19 years old, right? You're gonna be like, okay, you know what? I don't think that should haunt you for the rest of your life. Yeah. But you are going to be curious and be like, okay, well, like why,
however,
how,
And the reason I bring this up is if I walk in and the thing pops up and says raped a child, I'm walking out. I don't want to hear anything else. Not saying that you can't come back from that. I'm saying for me, done. That is what I'm saying.
Listen, what's that guy? Brock Turner.
Child, nothing.
Brock Turner, who raped an unconscious woman on a college campus. Yeah. Right? Where's the coming back from that? If you tell me that you did that when you were in college, right? We're in our 40s. You tell me you did that when you were in college, right? I'm going to look at you and go, what the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you? right? And you said you have to see some level of growth. In that situation, even to be friends with someone like that, you kind of have to sit there and go, where's the level of growth here? If you just went to jail, got out of jail, and then kept on living your life, I'm never leaving a female near you.
I agree.
Unattended.
However, if went to jail, got out, has been in a program.
Got counseling?
Since then. Yeah, counseling since then.
Yeah.
And has demonstrated remorse, restitution, and attempts to try to repair the damage, then I at the very least have to give that person some consideration. Right. But if all they did was 4 years, got out, and went right back to what they were doing, then no.
I'm going to switch gears in here slightly. But it's the same rail, right? So you told me that in the third season of Stranger Things, that the girl comes out to Steve, right?
Yeah.
And that it's handled really well. Right, and I was waiting to see how it was handled, and this whole idea that basically there's this girl that one of the characters, Steve, is like really into, and he doesn't realize he's into her, but by the end of the season, he's very into her. They're very close. They've gone through a thing together, and at one point she says how she was kind of obsessed with him in high school, and he didn't really notice her, and he thinks that's because she liked him, and so he basically realizes how great she is. At which point she says to him, "I didn't want to date you. I wanted to be you because this girl kept looking at you." And that's when Steve, it realizes, oh. And the swiftness that he pivots to, oh, you could do better than that girl. That girl sucks. Come on. Like, how quickly he pivots to, our connection is bigger than this, right? Is great because... You're talking about, Pride Month and all that. There's a lot of people who, when someone finds out that they're gay, in any form, is like, I can't be friends with you. Right. Where it's like, oh, no, you're gay? You're going to look at me like a sexual object, which I think that, by the way, is a really funny statement when men get annoyed because somebody else is looking at this. Honestly,
boy, oh boy. The level of arrogance in that.
I really think that's the fear, is that men are so used to walking around going, I'm looking at all of you as sexual objects. They don't like the idea of another man looking at them the same way that they look at women.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to my wife today about how, like, when she walks by, I look at her and I respect my wife. I think she's great, but I do look at her and go, that's a sexual object right now. She's beautiful. Where she looks at me and there isn't the same kind of, it's not.
No, of course not.
It's not the same, right? Women have far more complex programming. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't look at me slouching when I'm burping and going, oh yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you look
that's the one right
there.
A
woman walks by and she, like, you become, focused on the way her hips move when she walks, and you're like, ooh, right. Whereas, like, when I walk in the room, my wife isn't walking me walk through the room going, ooh, look at his hips move, or look at his forearms sway. It's like, no, it's amazing that, So, but when a man then does that to another man, I think that makes men very uncomfortable.
We are doing a summer movie festival series in our household. And so, of course, I'm printing out physical movie tickets for each of the movies I'm picking.
You are hilarious.
And when she sees them on the table, she gives me this look, and I'm like, that's the love look. When you have somebody who's so nerdy that they print out on good cardstock little tickets that I designed that have the name of the movie and a stub that says admit one with popcorn, homemade popcorn. That's the shit that I get to look for. Not because I'm, sweat. Apparently my ass and forearms are good. I've been told this through my entire life, and I don't know why.
I have no idea why my wife is with me. But then again, I have no idea why any woman was with me. And whenever I hear stories about why women were with me in the past, it's like they were with somebody else.
Yes, I was told, by the way, we had a similar discussion on one of our shows, and I got some feedback that was highly entertaining.
What?
Our bewilderment at women being interested in us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I don't understand at all.
No.
And like I keep hearing, I think it's a failure of understanding, because this whole thing where like women are like, well, you were so confident in high school, and I'm like, confident? I'm like, who the hell were you sleeping with? Confident?
I don't know what you were seeing there, but that wasn't confident.
Or they were like, oh, you had a cool red car. I'm like, my death trap of a car that had the door falling off and the sunroof didn't work, and everyone thought I was driving stick because the
only two things I had going for me is that I played drums, which I did. And anybody in a band,
See, no,
you know,
but
works.
that's far more confidence than I had. You're like, you at least are sitting there going, I was in a band.
Yeah.
Like I
But
was
even past that, it was that I could draw, and
yeah, I didn't
and
have.
when I talk about drawing, I do change how I talk, and so I guess that was it.
I had none
It
of
is an area of
that.
confidence.
I didn't have music. I didn't have any good art. I wrote. Nobody wants to read that shit. And honestly, I think it was the leather. I think leather got me laid in high school because
I was
wore.
going to say, I think for you, it was probably the look more than anything.
But the thing is, the look had so little to do with what I was as a person.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, in high school, superficiality is the rule of the kingdom, right? I mean, or the coin of the realm. So
I guess it wasn't the rule of my kingdom. So, but either way, yeah. So to this day, I still don't understand it. Right? It's a really weird. The math makes no sense why women put up with men. But what I'm trying to say is that there's always this sense of otherness that an individual has to realize what it is about the thing that that horrifies them, or that, you know, and I don't want to equate homosexuality to bestiality, but it's the idea of the other, right? So you as a hetero person sit there and go, "Oh, I hate gays," and you're like, "Well, why? Why do you hate gays? What is the thing that's scaring you about homosexuality?" Right? What is the, you know? And it's the same thing with like again, I am not equating these two. I'm just saying it's the concept of the other. If somebody says, "Oh, I know somebody who committed an act of bestiality once," right? Well, what is the thing to you that scares you about that, right? And I mean, honestly, like the thing that immediately pops to my mind is, are you attracted to animals? Like, and I don't know why, but that bugs me, because honestly, I can't compete with that. Like, that's the whole. You know, if you're a furry and you like furry things, right? Well, outside of the fact that I am a hairy man, I can't compete with that. You know, when I was younger, when I was
you might
younger,
be able to compete more than you think.
I used to be really annoyed about lesbians. Not because I was against lesbians, it's because I had no chance. If I met a girl and she was really attractive and she was cool and she was a lesbian, it bothered me that there was no hope. You know, and it wasn't like I hated them and I was like, "Oh, you fucker." It was just one of the things like, you know, there's a few women in my life I met throughout the years who were lesbians, and they were awesome people, and I would have liked to be with them. But I wasn't what they were looking for, so we were friends. But I still look at them and go, I can't compete with that. You know, so it's like.
And interestingly, I was the opposite, primarily because I actually had a couple of gay friends when I was younger, and the thing that was great about them, I mean, they were good people, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this is the only thing, was
gay male gay or female like gay,
both.
like lesbians?
No, both.
Okay.
Both.
Well, I had that around as well.
No, but what was great is I actually was able to somewhat interpret whether I was completely nuts sometimes on each of their lenses, because there would be things that would happen.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, this is what I think of this. Am I completely nuts? And I would, you know, be able to gauge based on what their response was. And I found that because I wanted somebody who's, I guess this is an early version of my thing, recognizing that my perspective was not the only one.
Oh, yeah.
Although I certainly could not identify
yeah.
it that way. I was not that enlightened.
I'm not talking about that at all. I was just saying that I meant, like, you know, I'm not one of those guys that's like, I can make a lesbian get straight. Like, no. I'm not one of those guys. So for me,
I understand what you're saying is, you're like, oh, this is a beautiful, powerful woman, and I have zero chance of ever getting anywhere near her outside of.
And it was just a sad fact that door was shut to me.
And I was so used to not having any shot at all that it didn't even enter into my equation.
Listen. There was a lot of shut doors growing up. Okay, I'm not saying. Listen, that's like those guys that are like, you know what? If I met Beyonce, I'd probably have a shot. And you're like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
But it's good to have lots of different perspectives in your life. It's good to be open to lots of different ideas. And I do feel that when getting away from the homosexuality element and getting back to the whole, you know, perverse deviance and crime, that if people do the work, they do deserve a way back to society.
Sure.
You know, it's just very hard to find people who are willing to do the work. And that's why you say to me the whole thing.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, yeah, that whole like I mean, because you just went hard with bestiality. That's kind of the problem there. It's like,
Well,
that's kind of a
because
big
you know,
one.
well, it is, but it's like I said to me, it's there that the reason I use that specifically is because you start there going, that's a big one, until you go to pedophilia.
But I mean, like,
in which case, it's
how
like,
do you?
well, is it a
How
big
do
one
you?
or how big is this?
Yeah, but how do you make peace with the fact that there's a level of animal cruelty there?
I don't know that there is.
You're just
I
assuming
can't-
that the horse was like, I'm fine with this.
Okay, you have to remember that the statement was that in this future where a thing pops up and gives you the worst, you said you're judged by your worst mistake.
Yes.
You walk into a bar and you look at a woman and you start to walk towards her and the pop-up comes up and it says that.
So,
do you immediately turn around and walk out? That's the scenario.
It's all based on what but it would only be something that you were actually caught doing, right? Like it would have to be something that was. Wasn't just that you morally did.
You said, what if you were judged by your worst mistake?
Well, I know, but there's two levels to
period.
two levels to this, because your worst mistake, what you think your worst mistake is, and what was illegal are two different things. So it'd be fascinating, both in envisioning both these worlds, right? This idea of being in a world where your worst criminal offense pops up with your name, because that's the thing that's on record, right? It's like me legally, probably some speeding tickets. That's it. That's the most I've got. Arson.
No. Are you saying for me?
Yes. Wasn't it accidental arson?
The college fire, I didn't start that. I was in the room. If you remember, I wasn't holding the lighter. This is very important that we distinguish this.
Okay, fine. Now, you're right.
I'm trying. No, but wait, because I have started fires. Hold on, I'm thinking. No, that wasn't me. That was a fireworks, but there wasn't arson. Nothing burned down. There was a fire on the roof. We put it out. Did I start a fire that got? No, I have never.
Yeah, so
there's nothing I've done that would be classified as arson.
So is it just speeding tickets? Is it just a lot of people with speeding tickets? Is that really what
I'm trying? Yeah, I mean that's honestly mine would have to be speeding tickets too. I don't think I've ever actually broken a law.
And then public intoxication, driving while drunk. I mean, this would be the thing that you primarily would see.
Yeah,
popping up over everyone's head. And listen, this isn't that far away, because if you get some kind of Google Glass future where everything is going through a pair of goggles and you can see everything,
and this is why I'm saying
you're going to have someone's going to create an app that's called Crime Watch, and it's going to pop up over everybody's head because all that information is legally available. Right, so I mean that may be the future that you walk around in, where you're like, oh, your name's.
I mean that's what they're aiming for. There's lots of these companies that are saying they want to have it where you would get a pop up.
But then this is fascinating, because isn't this trying to create a God's eye view of the world? Because I mean, in theory, God sees all your sins, and that's why you're not supposed to do anything wrong. Well, if everyone can see all your sins, the only catch to this is whether people care. Because that's the thing I'm discovering right now is a big element that people overlook, which is the ability to actually get society to give a shit. Especially with all this stuff between Musk and Trump, where everyone's like, oh, did you hear what Musk said about Trump? And I'm sitting there going, dude, Trump's got a cult. They don't give a shit. I don't think there's anything Musk can do that can hurt MAGA Town for Trump, because he is the head of a cult.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's fascinating, because we live in a very... I never realized just truly how postmodern our age was, because the thing is, in a postmodern age, criticism breaks down in the sense that there used to be a time where there were art critics who told you what was art and what wasn't, what was good to read and what wasn't. And now we live in this world where it's like, it's all up for grabs. You do what the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But with that goes truth, because we now live in so postmodern an age where if I say it's not real, you can believe it's not real. You can believe that what I tell you is real. Real is whatever we want it to be.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so let's go back to our original premise that kind of started this to some degree. Tron Ares gets released, and they face swap out Jared Leto.
Yeah.
So.
With who, like Neil Gaiman?
Whoever. No, I don't think we're going to do that. But so they put somebody else acceptable in, right? Yeah. Whoever. Now, this is because the movie has a release date of this year. Therefore, as far as I can tell, the principal photography is done. Now, they could reshoot depending on
they won't,
how many things Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well,
for all we know, he was only in like Mandalorian. He could only have been in 3 scenes, so it may not be that big a deal.
Isn't he one of the leads in that movie?
Well, sure he is, but what I mean, Garrett Hedlund had a helmet on for how much of
true. No, that's true. That's true.
It's hard to say,
Yeah.
but whatever. Let's say they don't reshoot. They use everything where Jared Leto was in it, and they face swap him with I don't know Tobey Maguire. Just picking somebody. Somebody so far as we know is clean. Or who's the Hobbit? Ethan Woods.
Yeah. James, I almost called him James.
Frodo.
Woods.
What's Frodo's name? Frodo. They take Frodo's face and they fucking Frodo the fuck out of Tron or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
The movie comes out and they give credit to that actor whose name I cannot remember. Frodo.
Got it.
And they don't put Jared Leto's name in it at all, even though it is his body, because his face is gone.
Got it.
That is postmodern truth. Because for all intents and purposes of the viewer, it is whatever that Elijah Woods. I knew it was Woods. I got the Woods part right. I almost said, goddamn, who's the other Woods? The one who likes underage kids too. James Woods, I almost said James Woods. No, Elijah Woods. It comes out as Tron Ares featuring Elijah Woods.
Yeah.
That's postmodern truth because it's not his body.
No. Yeah.
But it's his face, and that's all most people care about. Therefore, it's an acceptable truth. So, you're right. We're already there.
The face is the interface.
Actually, what was the movie where Kevin Spacey got replaced?
Oh, that was the one with...
What did they credit it?
Oh, I don't think did he get credit?
I want to see. I'm not sure.
They replaced him with... Did they reshoot him or did they digitally replace him? I thought they reshot him.
They digitally replaced him with Christopher Plummer, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Christopher Plummer digitally replaced. Hold on.
I think that was a movie with oh God, wasn't Brendan Fraser in that as well?
Here it is. Okay. The movie was called All the Money in the World. It was a Ridley Scott film. Let's take a look. So if I go to that movie on IMDb, all right, there's Christopher Plummer. Christopher Plummer is credited, not Kevin Spacey. Now, the question is, reshoots took... Oh, no, so they reshot.
Yeah, I was pretty sure they reshot those scenes, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No, I thought that they had digitally done it.
No, he's out.
So, no.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and that's
interesting.
That's some attention to detail right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's the question is, if it is in fact a digital face swap, assuming, would the credit matter? I don't know. I don't have an answer. But that's
honestly
postmodern truth.
More interestingly, did he still get paid? I think he still got paid for that movie too, or paid part of it.
Unless there was a clause that said if you do something that can hurt the movie's chances,
fucked up.
there usually are those things. You can't just do a movie and then again go out and kill a child and get paid.
You are still working, yes.
Yeah, so that may have fallen under that. I don't know those details. My guess is they probably didn't even want to get into that. They were like, whatever, that's not our problem. Our problem is we have to release this movie and his face can't be in it.
Well, and that's the thing is that depending on how bad this case with Jared Leto gets, I think it will affect what Disney does. Because if this case comes out, and listen, it's all underage girls, right? Like, he seemed to have a predilection for 17, 16-year-olds, right? So far, nothing in the case seems to be outright, from what I read, it wasn't, and none of it was outright illegal, just really creepy. Because at one point, I think he was nude. In front of a 17-year-old.
Yes, he was in front of a 17-year-old. Yes, that's why I used that example exactly.
Yeah, so that's nudity. Yeah, so like, I think if it becomes like criminal, I think that there's a point in there where Disney might turn around and go, "Wait a minute, this is a Disney movie, and we're the family studio. That's what we like to put out, and I don't think we can put a movie out, our mainstay family film, and have Mr. I like 17-year-olds." As the tent pole of it. So, yeah, I wonder if it's going to come out, or if it's going to get postponed, or they're going to.
It's going to come out. It's going to come out.
Are they going to digitally? I mean, listen, they
Whether
already
it comes out with him in the role.
They already had a digital Jeff Bridges in the last one,
and this is what I'm saying is this would not be a movie where I think anybody would even care.
Yeah.
And honestly, most of the reviews of the trailers have said, "Hey, this looks great," until Jared Leto shows up. So maybe they'd be like, "This is a great opportunity."
Yeah,
to
I
get
mean,
rid of
and
this
that's
fuck.
the thing is that when Jared Leto shows up now, everyone's kind of like, "Oh, god damn it!" Like he's become a bit of an albatross for a film, and you kind of sit there and go, "Why are they still casting him then?"
Yeah.
Like he just comes off so douchey to everybody. Like no one on set seems to be that thrilled with him. You know, it's like, listen, Anthony Hopkins, I've read, is a functional alcoholic, or spent most of his years as a functional alcoholic. And from what I've read about him, he wasn't great with his own family, but like he was always hugely nice and fun to everyone he worked with. Which, you know, that's sad for him because his family life is, you know, like, but at least he wasn't an awful person to the people he worked with.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, from what I can see, he did get paid because this happened a couple of days away from release. So all the funds and everything had already been done. Yeah, this was like 9 days from release when this came out. And that's when they had to quickly do the reshoots. And
it's wacky shit, man. So, we live in a weird time. And so, yeah, I'll be curious. I'll be curious if Disney does it. It's all got to be based on how bad it gets before that movie comes out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a relatively just breaking story, so there's some time.
Yeah.
The movie's out in October. That's certainly plenty of time based on all the money in the world to do some changes.
I mean, listen, this is Disney that got rid of what's her name in The Mandalorian.
That's what I'm saying. So my suspicion is,
and she just talked a lot of shit. Like she didn't do anything illegal. She didn't do it. They were
I'm guessing,
no.
I'm guessing that especially with the amount of, as you said, underage women, not consensual women. Well, non-consensual, but adult women.
It's underage, and it's because of the. I think it's because of the exposing himself to a minor. That's already criminal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like.
Yep.
You know, and I'll go as far to say is that if they were women his age, maybe Disney would be like, well, you know.
No, I agree. I agree. If it was misconduct with adult women, I think, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but I think a giant corporation that has no morals would put up with more of it.
The corporate logic, I feel they would be like, well, we're okay. We're kind of okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. No, they would. The mouse would be okay with rape as long as it wasn't an underage girl. Let's be very clear.
The mouse would be okay with rape.
The House of Mouse is okay. I mean, they've passed over it before, so they have. They've been okay with rape before, as long as it didn't have underage women involved. So, you look through Disney's
it'd be an
catalog
interesting
and you're gonna
future
find some monsters.
if your worst, like I said, your worst legal crime was floating above your head. But to say your worst mistake, you can never do that unless you were literally directly plugged into people's like cerebral sense, and you were just like, okay, your deepest thoughts now are scattered across the internet. I mean, listen. One of the I always joke. My kids always say, like, "What superpower would you like to have?" Right? And there's a part of me that's always like, I would love to be able to read people's minds, but then I always backpedal and go, "No, I don't want that.
You wouldn't.
I just want to fly." And my kids are always like, "But why?" And I'm like, "Oh God, you know how horrible it would be?" And they're like, "Why would it be horrible?" And when you're a kid, like you're like, oh, I can read people's minds. That's so cool. But then you get older and you're like, I can read everyone's mind. This is awful. Because it's like, you don't really want to know what's in people's heads. Like, think how screwed up your own head is. Do you really want to hear that coming from others? And like,
oh no, that would not be my superpower pick. That's for sure.
Oh no, I know that. But like, I remember I was working on a story a couple of years ago about a guy, and I was going to give him a level of telepathy, but I was like, no, I need to make it more specific so he doesn't kill himself. And his whole thing was that if he touches you, it's kind of like the Jeff Goldblum in Vibes. If he touches you, he can actually read a localized level of your thoughts, of what is currently actively going on in your thoughts, right? So if like he shakes your hand and he asks you a question, he can see what you're thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even that character, I envisioned him as living on a mountain far away from people because he couldn't stand it. Because
you're talking about the Dead Zone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, the Dead Zone, he could see the future. Your future, right?
Yeah, he could see your. But I mean, it's not reading minds, but that would turn you into a recluse like he was.
Yeah, you don't want to be around people anymore.
No.
It's like, the reality is you don't really want to hear what's in people's thoughts because they're as weird as you are.
No, I would never want telepathy. That would not
You
be it.
know, or
Yours would be
worse,
flight. Is that what you said? Your answer was
flight.
flight?
Yeah,
Was
I'd
it?
probably do flight. Like,
Yeah.
but the thing is, with
Anything.
flight, I see that I can never do one power because the thing is, like with flight, you need some level of invulnerability.
I can do one power.
What's that?
The ability to remove pain. That's what I'd want.
See, illness to cure all illness is on my list.
No, 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 no. Well, okay. No, I don't. I don't know that. I've thought about this, and I don't think it would be healing. I think it would specifically be the removal of pain. Because pain does not require illness. Well, okay, I guess if you extend healing to...
Do you mean like psychological? Do you mean you can heal psychological pain as well?
Yes, anything.
Interesting.
Anything. Yes.
Yeah, that's a...
Like if somebody came to me and said, I was abused and I've been in counseling and it's not working and I just want to kill myself, I want to be able to say, I can take that away from you.
See, and that's
that pain away.
And that's an interesting thing because it's a question of if the bad things happen to you and you remove their pain, right? Then the question is, who then do you become?
Well, that's why they would have to come to me.
Yeah. I get it.
If they're at the point of death or that.
Yes. No, I get it.
That's the scenario.
Yeah. Then turn me into something else. Because but I'm watching that show. Was it?
But I agree. I would if it was somebody who just came and said, "You know what? I stubbed my toe the other day and that it's bugging me." I'd be like, "I'm not doing that."
No, but like if then that show Resident Alien, there's an alien that has the ability to mess with people's memories. At one point, he changes the memories on one of the sheriffs, or actually on the sheriff, and he gives him this, and he gives him this really good day. Now I haven't gotten beyond that episode, so I don't know how that's going to blow up in his face. But giving this guy this good day that he always wanted, where basically he goes fishing with his dad, right? You're like, oh, geez, man, that will change a person. One good day can fundamentally change, or one bad day can fundamentally change a person's personality forever. Yeah. So the ability to remove pain, I mean, it could have the ability to change people completely.
Yes, at some point. Of course, this is another one where we'll have to find the time.
Yeah.
At some point, I would like to watch the Suspiria remake and see what your thoughts are on that. And there's an element of that in there, too. But we'll need 2.5 hours for that one. It's not 3 hours, but it's still a chunk of time. So, that's on the list of when, there's a particular...
I could never come up with one power. Because, like, my whole thing was if I wanted to fly, I would want some level of invulnerability. Because landing is not easy. So,
well, yeah.
Yeah. But this goes back. But honestly, what's really funny.
But I don't think flying would cure me of being afraid of heights. So I'm like, no, I don't want to fly.
Well, if you can't fall, I mean.
Yeah. What happens if I'm flying and I knock myself out? I'm going to die. I mean, people forget that when they go flying, that okay, you slam into a flock of birds with a helmet, you're getting your ass knocked out. You can bring down a plane with birds. So
one of the weird things in my dreams is that I always, since I've been a child, whenever I actually could sleep, I was always a vivid dreamer, and I always had, I could always fly in my dreams, right? To the point of which that I knew exactly what the physical action that made me fly was when I was awake. Do you know when you do something so much in a dream that you actually know what it feels like to instigate it when you're awake? Sure. And it was connected to my back muscles. And when I flexed my back muscles a certain way in the dreams, it was like I had like invisible wings. I would like kind of take off. But the weird thing is that in my dreams, it almost made me susceptible to the wind. So there were dreams I had where I would get swept away by the wind. Like it would literally pick me up and carry me away. And I couldn't always land in my dreams very easily because the wind would kind of it's a lot of metaphor in my head.
Sure.
But it was a weird thing because I could always do it. And it's only now that I'm older, I think I fly a lot less in my dreams than I used to. But the wind can still pick me up and just carry me right off in my dreams. So it's a very strange thing. And maybe that's why there's a part of me that would love to be able to fly in real life. But not like fly a plane. Like I don't want to be in something. I literally just want to physically take off. Yeah. Maybe hang gliding. I should try hang gliding one of these days.
Sure.
After my kids are, in college and don't need me.
Yeah, yeah.
What am I talking about? They're going to need.
Well, yeah.
We'll see what the world
These
looks
days.
like at that point. Yeah, right.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, yeah. How did we get here? This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife.
Because you talked about Tron Ares. That's how.
You can do your intro now.
As usual, Jared Leto can lead to no good.
Oh, I don't know. We got some interesting questions. You put me on the spot
yes.
with bestiality.
I did. Yeah. Yes, I did. I'll bet nobody had that on the bingo card for this episode. You know what? 950 episodes, and we still come up with weird nothing tangents. So.
I think there's many questions that both of us could use to stump each other.
Oh, I know.
Where you'd sit there and be like, like that is a good question. You know? I mean, listen, that's what makes life interesting, is that you're still at a point where there's questions that you go, you know what, I don't know the fucking answer to that.
Yes, I don't think I don't think at any other point we have presented a scenario where a pop-up when you walk into a bar to meet a woman says, fuck the horse at 18, walk or stay.
Oh, man. I mean, yeah,
but here's the thing.
You know what though? I wouldn't approach. I think that's the answer. Is if I saw the pop up across the bar, I would look at that and I go, you know what? I don't know if I want that in my life. Like that might be too. Like now, if she approached me, like we might have a chat, and like I said,
I would approach. I'd be curious. If for no other reason,
is your
like
first
you said,
line is I have to ask about the horse.
Well, I think my first line would be something like, "All right, let's just address the horse in the room. I need to know I need to know the details." I think that's got to be fair.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? You want to talk about gray zone? What if it was a dog?
That doesn't change anything for me.
No, you don't think that's animal abuse?
No, I don't stipulate that. Look,
okay.
seeing what even my female dog has done to inanimate objects of her own volition, I have no reason to think that that's animal abuse. Let me tell you something.
Okay, well, we have our positions. Yeah.
The classic male dog joke that you can portray in a movie is dog comes up to a person and starts humping their leg. So, no. I do not presume that bestiality assumes. If anything, the non-consensual partner would probably be the human in most cases.
It is such a weird vibe with dogs too, because dogs are like they're so attentive to people, but then they're like at the same time they will fuck anything, and the females will do it too. Right. Whereas
the cat would be the stranger one, where I'd be like, "How did that happen?" Because cats, I can't see that being,
Whereas with a cat, right? I feel bad for cats. When you think about this idea that if like you get resurrected as certain animals, right? Like, what's a good resurrection and what's a bad resurrection, right? Yeah. I mean, people are like, "Oh, I want to be a cat." I'm like, "No, you don't." The male cats have barbed penises. Right? And the act of sexual copulation of two cats is painful and horrible. The females don't like it. I don't even know if the males like it at that point. It's just something that they have to do because they're compelled by their biology, right? Like, there doesn't seem to be any pleasure whatsoever to it. It just sounds like they all sound unhappy to be there.
No,
right?
I'd probably come back as a sloth.
Just take it.
Nobody seems to fuck with sloths. They look kind of dopey, so people leave them alone. They're not hunted for anything. You don't hear about people hoarding them in their house.
No,
they just kind of hang around. They seem to have a very kind of,
Man, if I had to come back,
I don't know what's going on with their penises, but it wouldn't be my top concern.
I'm sure whatever they're doing, it's at a slow pace.
That's what I'm saying. But you never hear about anything with them.
They seem to be back as. I don't know if I had to be resurrected as an animal. I don't know. I'm so human.
Because I don't want to be anything too far down because they get killed a lot by predators. I don't want to be anything too far up because they tend to spend their lives fighting each other or being, hunted by poachers for their horns and shit. Or tusks and stuff. So a sloth is just like, you see it and you're like, yeah, okay. And you keep going because they're, whatever. It's a whatever animal. I want to be a beige animal. Just don't even think about me. Keep going.
Beige animal.
Yeah.
You know what? I might make a good raccoon. Raccoons are fun. I mean, I don't want them anywhere near my house because they're destructive little bastards. But that's kind of why I wouldn't. It's one of the things where I wouldn't want one anywhere near me. But I don't know if I'd mind being one. They kind of eat whatever they want. They're fat as fuck. They don't give a shit. They can, they have kind of like big families and they hang out and like, they just raccoons don't seem to
They're
have it
nocturnal,
bad.
so
Yeah, they got a cool mask and they got neat little hands and although have you ever seen a blonde raccoon?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of them. I've never
It
actually
totally
seen one.
removes the mystique. Let me tell you, a blonde raccoon is a big fat rat.
Yeah, they almost look like they look like
possums.
pudgy foxes.
Yeah, I suppose. I suppose.
Oh, apparently,
Foxes.
wait a minute. I was looking for a picture for those who may not have seen it. Apparently, there's also albino raccoons. They're even weirder looking. Albino raccoons look like giant rats because they're white with red eyes.
Red, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so blonde ones have dark eyes. Like, they look
Yeah.
like raccoons, but albino ones look like mutated rats. They look like what Splinter would actually have been if he got hit with ooze. Not the thing that we got.
Oh man, I like foxes too. I don't want to be one, but I do find them hilarious. Like
No,
they make
see,
some,
what I'm saying is
make some fucked up
foxes are always
noises.
being eaten by shit.
I know, but they are also, but they like as animals. What I read someplace they were like, what is it, dog hardware with cat programming or something, or cat software. That's what it was.
Yeah, sure, I could see
dog
that.
hardware,
I could see
cat
that.
software. Like, have you ever heard that
I said-
sound that makes it sound like they're laughing?
No, yeah, it's great. It's a delightful
just-
sound.
Yeah. Could you imagine being in the woods, like in the middle of the woods at night,
And hearing that at night, yeah, it's terrifying.
Oh my god! I mean, like,
It's like rabbits. It's like when rabbits scream and they die, and people have never heard it. It's like, yeah, go listen to that. You'll never fucking look at a rabbit the same way again. It's probably the most horrific animal sound I've ever heard.
was it rabbits dying?
Yeah, you've never heard that?
No. No, I haven't.
They shriek like children being killed. I imagine. I've never heard
Wow,
a
that's
child being
terrible.
killed.
I mean,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
that does.
Oh, no.
Weird.
That's the joke. Rabbits don't make a sound their entire life until
Yeah.
something gets a hold of them, and then they scream.
That's terrible.
Now, I believe the screams of dying rabbits were played by, like, I don't know if it was the Nazis or somebody to torment prisoners. Let me see. Screams of dying rabbits torture. That's gonna get me on the
that
list.
sounds like something. What was that Japanese?
Unit 451.
Yeah, that sounds like something they would have done.
Yeah, don't ever watch that movie. I'm serious. I watched it a long time ago. I think
You watched a
That was
documentary?
one of the movies that, huh?
You watched a documentary about them.
No, they made not a documentary. It was a movie that was. It was like a. It's called. What was it called? Men of the Sun. Men Behind the Sun. No. It's like it's intentionally Men Behind the Sun. 1989. It is a historical exploitation horror film. So it was made to show all the gore.
Got it.
It was one of those movies when I was going through my guinea pig period. Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, I've just read about it and it's terrible. I don't need to see it.
Yes. A live cat is thrown into a room and is eaten by rats, and supposedly it's real.
In the
Now,
movie?
I don't know if it is. Yes, in the movie. Oh, yeah. And supposedly there's an autopsy of a young child, and supposedly that's real. I didn't know that either when I watched it. I found that out later. So I don't know whether it is or not.
How does a movie like that get made?
Oh, you can make anything.
I know, but isn't some of that sounds illegal? Is what I'm saying.
No. I don't think autopsy footage of a child is illegal. I don't think it actually is.
I meant the
Oh, wow.
cat.
It was the first level 3. Oh, no. Animal torture. Don't forget. You could. Okay, I'm not going to say you could, but there was no. This is not an American film.
Oh, okay. Got
Yeah, this is a Chinese film
Got it.
from the 80s. It was the first level 3 film, which is the Chinese equivalent of NC-17. I didn't realize. I did not know that.
Oh my god. You know what? And speaking of that, the kids the other day asked if they could see RoboCop. And I was like, you can't watch RoboCop. And they're like, why? It's just a robot cop. I'm like, guys, RoboCop was one of the first movies that got an NC-17 rating. And they're like, what does
Yeah.
that mean? I was like, you gotta be 17 to see that fucking movie.
Oh my God. I was trying to find the thing about the rabbits, and somebody posted something saying, my rabbit screamed as it died, and I can't get rid of the sound. Oh God. How terrible. Ooh. I
Yeah,
feel
it's like
bad for
that
person.
shit that just gets in your head and stays there
Yeah.
for years.
Oh God. Okay.
Don't go into that rabbit hole.
Mind.
Oh
yeah,
God!
No. Some of these results are like videos of stuff, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to see anything. I was just trying. Somebody I believe did play Screaming. I think. Oh, now that I think about it, it might have been they were trying to get the people to leave the Waco compound, and that's what they played. I think that's what the FBI played.
I don't need to hear it. I'm good.
Yeah. No. I'm just saying. There are those things. I don't know where we came to from that, but yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, yeah.
We're talking about what animal would suck to resurrect.
Oh, right, that's right. I've never actually heard it, and I'm glad. I've never heard the actual sound. I've just read and seen video where people have said this is one of the worst sounds you'll ever hear. I've no desire to hear it either. Like
Even if you don't give a shit about rabbits, I wonder if there's a certain level of
No, it's not that. Oh no, there are people who look at animals as if they're Legos. They don't care. So those people probably have no problem with it. They probably laugh at it. No, I'm serious. There are people who do not have any regard for animals.
I don't have the pet gene. Like
but you wouldn't enjoy. You wouldn't just shoot a dog in the face for no reason.
But I also accept the fact that life, to some degree, is sacred.
Yeah, that's no. These people.
But I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad eating a rabbit. The thing is, if I'm going to kill it quick, man, and then eat it. Like that's the way my mind works in this. If don't make it like awful, Yeah. If death is going to happen, make it quick.
One of the reasons that I have largely been okay with going 90-something% vegetarian is it does alleviate the idea that I am eating an animal that probably wasn't killed humanely. Because I don't think it happens as humanely as they say it does most of the time.
No, it'd be nice if, we could kill our own animals. Then we could know exactly how they died.
Well, honestly, if they could make a fake bacon that tasted good, I'd eat it. They just can't.
Oh, God, no. They haven't done it yet. I toyed with the idea of being a vegetarian. And what the thing is? I just like meat. Like, and it's not even I like eating a lot of beef or if you just let me eat birds, I'm happy eating birds.
There is no form of animal product that I have not tasted a viable replacement for except bacon. Everything else, it is indistinguishable at this point.
Bacon is salty and it's okay, but I've never been obsessed. Whereas for me, I actually love bacon. I like the texture of chicken, like aviary meat, I just do. I like the fact that it carries as many flavors as it can carry flavors in so many different ways. Whereas when I've tasted like fake meat, right? I think what bothers me about it is that it's all so heavily processed. If I want to be a vegetarian, I'm not going to just eat fucking garden burgers. My mother has this problem because she is like an old school vegetarian where she basically just eats vegetables. So when my siblings who are processed vegetarians take her out to eat, they're like, oh, they have all these, they have let's have a Beyond Burger. And my mom sees it and she's like, oh, this is red dripping off of it. And it's made to be like a real burger. And she's like, I don't want a fucking burger. She goes, give me some fucking mushrooms or some shit.
And I do because I am a neo-vegetarian. I grew up with meat.
Yeah.
So I want it to be so indistinguishable.
I know, but I worry at the level of processing to get it.
They use beet juice for the red. That's beets, which I would never eat otherwise. I would never ever touch a beet in my life.
I actually do like beets.
All right, well then you could make your own.
I like to cut whole beets and whole potatoes up and fry them up together. It's really good.
Yeah.
Actually, you want to eat some really good beets.
For me, get some. I don't necessarily
cubed beets and cubed potatoes with some onion in butter and bacon bits, like little bits of bacon in there. That shit's fucking amazing.
I believe that you'd enjoy it. As I say with everything, I'm sure it's great for you.
Are you just afraid of beets?
No, I've had them. I don't like them. I mean, if I have to, all right, this is just me.
Yeah.
I'll admit this is just me.
Yeah.
But if I have to go to the lengths to hide a pure product that I don't like, then I'm just not going to eat it. If I have to make it into something else, then I don't care.
I think of beets as potatoes. They take on whatever flavor you cook them in.
I'd rather eat potatoes. I like potatoes.
I like to eat things.
That's what I'm saying. That's just me.
Hold on.
That's just me.
I like to eat things that are colorful because richly colored vegetables and whatnot are actually quite good for your system.
It's purple potatoes.
Oh, purple potatoes are really good. Yeah, purple carrots are good too.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that they're, that you.
No, you're right. Listen, those things are good too. Yeah. I'm just saying that beets can be, it's like Oh,
no,
God,
no.
what are
Look.
the little cabbages that everybody hates? What are those things called?
Oh, Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts. My wife hates Brussels sprouts, but we had them in a place where they cooked them with maple syrup and bacon, and those were fucking amazing.
Yes. Listen, I have eaten stuff that I absolutely hate when it is reformed. But what I'm saying is, that's usually in a place where they know how to do it properly, and I'm not going to get all the training equipment, whatever, to do it at home once or twice a year. So
I don't think it's that hard to do. I like cooking, so, but it's
fine.
difficult. Yeah, the thing is, your wife is already a vegetarian, which makes it so it's like, and she cooks a lot of the time too. So it's like it makes it to be somewhat of a vegetarian with her, whereas nobody in my household is a vegetarian.
Well, and as far as the process thing, to me, any beef that I don't know exactly where it comes from. For all I know, it's processed. So I'm like, that's a coin toss to me.
I flirted with the idea of when I was living in Vermont of only eating what I killed, but the thing is, like,
well, that's a great thing if you can do it.
There's not a lot of deer. There weren't in the 8 years I lived in Vermont. I think I saw 5 deer.
Well, the easiest thing would be chickens, but you still have to be able to put chickens somewhere and keep them alive.
And then you have to fight off the local. Then you have to fight off the local wildlife.
That's what I'm saying. Is there's these people who are like, we should only eat what we could kill ourselves. Okay, man, if you're out in Montana with a plot and enough resources to make a coyote-proof shed,
skunks,
go for it.
Skunks, they forget about coyotes. Skunks love to eat chickens.
Well,
and you can't fuck with them. Skunks are the worst. Fucking coyotes can growl at you, and there's a bunch of them. But a single skunk can eye you up and ruin your fucking week.
Yeah, I know.
And even after you kill them, there's still a cocksucker in death because that smell just gets worse. Like, I mean, have you ever smelled like sprayed rotting skunk? I didn't know I didn't know that smell could get worse.
Oh yes, it can.
So it's like that's the thing. You got chickens. Suddenly you got to fight off the rest of nature to keep those, because you know what? The bobcats want them. Fucking bears want them. The skunks want them. The only nice animal.
They're the only ones who like chickens.
Yeah. The only nice animals are possums. They don't want your chickens. Possums are kind of cool. But like everybody else wants your shit. It's like
ironically, skunks appear almost nowhere in the world, and where they appear the most is in the United States.
Is it really? That's funny.
Yeah, it's generally the U.S., Canada, some parts of South America, and there's and some weird little countries out in the middle of the Pacific, I think, and that's it. But otherwise, I'm not going to say they're never there, but they're not really.
And the thing is, like, they don't need to be scary to fuck your day up, man.
No.
Like, we had a neighbor who got sprayed by them, like, directly in the face.
Stinky works.
And they were throwing up for hours after that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, God, it's terrible. Yeah. But I was thinking, like, deer. I was like, because when I lived in Jersey, I used to shoot. Before I had kids, I used to shoot compound bows. And I loved it. I did it for kind of like a sports thing. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I should kill my own deer. There's a lot of deer in New Jersey. But there's so many regulations to do it that it was like, this is not cost effective at all. And then when I got to Vermont, they were like, you can kill anything that crosses onto your property, like anything, so I was like, okay. And then I saw 3 deer the whole time I lived up there. And now I'm back in Jersey, and I see, like, I'm not shitting you when I say I see like at least 15 deer a day, and you can't fucking hunt them because you're in a public area. Like, they're everywhere, and you can't do anything about it. And I'm like, you guys, I eat you. I was like, you guys look tasty, and I can't do anything about it. So, anyway.
I used to fire a compound bow. It was pretty fun. I was all right with it.
I had a 100-pound compound bow. I used to use it as like a weightlifting thing.
It wasn't that big, but I remember I could hit stuff with it pretty well.
It was like flame red. It was it a Hoyt? I think it was a Hoyt. It was just like this flame red bow I had. I used to have to put 2 targets, like 2 2-foot thick targets, so that it wouldn't go through everything and go into the concrete wall.
Well, yeah, we just had trees, so just fired it through the trees.
I know, but you can't target shoot in your backyard in New Jersey either, unless you're like out in the sticks and no one can see you.
Yeah. No, we were lucky. We had a big backyard in my second house. It went way back into nothing. So
yeah, it was funny that when I was in Vermont, my daughter had no interest in archery, and then when we came down here, she was like, I want to shoot a bow, and I was like, oh, let's go to a class, and we went to this place, and it was like a basement of a warehouse, and the guy running it was actually like an award-winning like archery expert, right? And he had a class, and he had this whole thing, but it was so depressing. And my daughter was like, I don't want to do this. And I was like, I'll do it with you. And she's like, I'm not doing this here. It's like, this is awful. Like, because in her mind, she's like, I want to be like fucking Robin Hood in the woods shooting trees, and it's like we're in a basement of a warehouse with like, rubber targets. Like, this is depressing.
Yeah. But it is the one thing that you can actively do and almost nobody knows, unlike firing a gun in your backyard. People don't generally know when you're firing a bow unless they see.
I know, but the problem is you can't shoot squirrels. You can't shoot squirrels with a bow because if you miss,
I mean target.
If you miss, God knows where that thing's going to go. And if you do hit them, that's
no.
worse.
You would have to do it with targets.
They're nailed to the tree if you hit them.
No. Yeah. Well, there is that.
And then your wife is like, "Did you shoot a squirrel?" And you'll be like, "No,
not me.
Oh, just shot itself, huh?" I told you a story about
another squirrel. They must have had a fight, I guess.
I know I've told you this story, but just in case for some reason I haven't, I told you a story about the sleeping squirrel.
You told me. I don't think you've ever said it on the show. At least I don't remember.
Did I not tell you on
the show? No.
Right.
I don't.
I
if
apologize.
You did, it must have been a while ago.
I apologize if I'm repeating this story, but I'll tell it just in case I hadn't. Which is that a number of years ago, I used to shoot the squirrels off our deck.
It's possible we have a new listener.
I know. There you go. One.
Just one.
So for our new listener, I used to shoot the squirrels off the deck of our house because we lived like out in the boonies a little bit, and I was always trying to keep the squirrels from just decimating the bird feeder because I like the birds, and I used to shoot them all the time. And I had an air rifle. I didn't have a gun. It was just an air rifle. It was one of those crack it once and you'd shoot. And one time, my in-laws came to visit. And my wife was like, "No shooting." She's like, "They don't like guns." She's like, "No shooting." She's like, "Leave it." I was like, "Okay." But I would come down early in the morning because the kids were still little, and so I'd be downstairs, and the kids would have come through, and then it would just be me kind of downstairs by myself, and there was this fucking squirrel on the feeder, and it would not let up. So I was like, "Oh, I'll just shoot it real quick, like nobody will know." And I just kind of eased the window open, and I just like, pop, and I hit it, but I didn't kill it, and it like ran away, and I was like, "Fuck!" And so I acted like I hadn't done anything, and that was good. And then a little while later, my kids are by the window, and they're like, "Hey, Mommy, I think this squirrel fell asleep on the branch." And they're like, "Is he sleeping?" And my wife comes over, and she's like, Yeah, he looks like he's sleeping." And she looked over at me, and she was like, "Come here." And I walked over, and there it was, man. It was basically like hanging on a branch, like arms and legs. And she was like, "Did you shoot that?" I'm like, "No, he's asleep." And then like her parents came down, and they were like, "Oh, that is really weird behavior for a squirrel. I wonder why he's sleeping like that." And I was just turning red. I had to leave the room, And I not long after that, I just started shooting the squirrels again, and was just like, accept it. I don't shoot all the squirrels. I just shoot the ones that go for the bird feeder. To be even, I shot at other things and went for the bird feeder too. Although the turkeys had me by I didn't know that wild turkeys could fly. So when the wild turkeys got up on the banister and started eating from the bird feeder, I was like, "I'm not going to shoot you guys. You birds." It's like, "I'm cool. Go ahead. Decimate the bird feeder. You're big boys." But that was weird, and the turkey vultures, like, although I think the turkey vultures were there to eat the dead squirrels and not from the bird feeder itself. But anyway, yes, sleeping squirrels. I'm not allowed to do that anymore because I live in New Jersey.
Well, we all have the things we have to put up with when we're in certain areas. So,
anyway, did you have anything, or is it just us?
Nope, I do have something. As a matter of fact, I did, of course, my short review, but I will repeat my kind of setup of how this happened. I have talked many times, endlessly probably, about how much I adore the Criterion channel. It is, if I had to only pick one streaming service to keep, that would be it. The rest could be damned. Don't care. But I want Criterion. And I periodically, generally once or twice a month, I go through and I just keep adding to my now endless list of movies that I may or may not get to before I die. And I look through the stuff they add, and I add things. Of course, some things disappear, but I tend to go through. And I see what they've added in their collections and everything else, because there's generally always something interesting. And they are throwing more wild cards in there. I can't remember. There was some movie I saw in there. I'm like, really? This is in here? Awesome. But I don't remember what it was now. And in the event, as I was doing that, as it is June, it is Pride Month, I thought, oh, let me look because, of course, like most services now, there is a section that is either labeled, celebrating, Pride Cinema or whatever. Theirs, I think, is just labeled LGBTQ plus, and that's just the section, and that's what is in there. So then, okay, let me go through here. I mean, there's stuff I've already seen, but I was kind of looking for something that jumped out for some reason. And I thought, let me try to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. So I was looking for something that wasn't, again, the type of thing I would normally watch. 3-hour Russian science fiction epic that just happens to feature a gay character. Like, a lot of that I've already seen. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, let me try to find something where I go, I probably would pass this over normally, but let me see if there's anything that jumps out. And I saw a still for a movie called Gypsy 83. Now, there's several things about this movie that jump right out as a movie I would normally jump over. One, it's from 2001. I am not the biggest fan of films from like 2000 to 2010. There's just a period of time where those movies just have a look and a general feel. And I know there's good ones in there, but a lot of them just kind of go right over me. So right away, that the time period is not what I normally gravitate towards, like 70s, 80s, or like the 30s. I jump way around. So I'm like, okay, 2001, coming of age film. Also not a genre.
I just read the description.
Yeah. I don't really care for coming of age films, not even the great classic John Hughes stuff that everybody loves. They're fine, but I don't ever really want to rewatch them. It's just not my thing because they kind of all do the same general thing. So, not that they're bad, but they're not interesting. But I saw that it was about two goth outsiders who go to New York City to go to a festival celebrating Stevie Nicks. Now, I was never a big goth subculture person. I certainly loved women who were into goth stuff when I was younger, but I myself never got into it. Generally wasn't my type of music.
A goth thing?
No, but apparently I think she is well loved within the LGBTQ plus community. I don't know if she's somebody who embraced that community early. I think it's that type of thing, because otherwise I don't know. I don't know anything about Stevie Nicks. I mean, I know some of her songs, but I'm not even a Stevie Nicks fan. So I don't know. Well, I don't know if this thing is real.
I gotta say, this movie has very good reviews.
Well, I didn't even look at the reviews. I just went, okay, I'm just going to watch this. It's like 90 minutes.
The reviews all say it's like a really well done coming of age movie. Like a really
the fact that it was on Criterion generally doesn't pick garbage. So I thought, okay, it's here. I want to do something different. It's 90 minutes. Worst case, I lost 90 minutes. So I started watching it. And the thing that makes the movie worth watching is the two leads. They are exceptionally good, and their characters are exceptionally good. You don't get their backstory. They already know each other, and you don't ever need it because their relationship and the way they talk to each other, it's all very organically written. And so you immediately like these two because they're clearly the only weirdos in their town, which I can identify with. I'm the only weirdo in my entire family. Nobody else is like me. So it's, I mean, I was never, again, painted head to toe like The Cure or anything, but, you know.
The lead girl in this movie, she went on to be the Attorney General in Idiocracy. Yeah,
she's been in a bunch of things. I didn't realize. At first, I know her from, she's a young girl in Roseanne that shows up for,
oh, wow. It's just always funny the way people pop up in some of these things, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, I would not have, if I hadn't happened to look at her filmography afterwards, I would never have realized it. She doesn't look anything like she did in those episodes. But anyway, she is the Stevie Nicks fan. She's a singer. Her mother had abandoned her and her father to go to New York to try to make it as a singer. So she has this kind of thing from that where she's never quite gotten over it, even though she says she has. And then her friend Clive is a young gay goth living in Ohio in a town that does not exactly accept young gay men. Even his family is, his sister is pretty accepting, but she doesn't understand it. Like she has no problem with him being gay, but she doesn't know what that means. And so even within his own house, and his parents are dead. I think his parents and one of his siblings died, and so it's just him and his sister left now. This all happens. We never really know what, there's no backstory to it. It's just already all has happened. And so he finds out that there's going to be this Night of 1,000 Stevies thing, which I don't know if that's real or not. My suspicion is there's some version of it that's real. Maybe it isn't Stevie Nicks, but I'm sure there's something like that. But because Gypsy is a singer, he says, we have to go. We have to go, and you have to go perform, because anybody can get up there and they can sing a Stevie Nicks song, and maybe you'll be discovered. And so they take this road trip to go there, and things happen along the way. Now, the things that happen along the way, would this many things of this type happen to two people in the course of 4 days? Unlikely.
Okay.
But that's
hold on.
the point of a movie.
Yeah, exactly. Because think about it. Fucking any crime show you watch,
Right.
will there be that many murders in a small town in New England? Really? Like,
yes. So it's basically, it is a series of unfortunate and fortunate events that happen on the way to this thing. And, including Clive has his first actual sexual encounter. Gypsy, they pick up a Amish guy who's running away, and she sleeps with him only to find out that actually he's married, and he thought maybe he wanted to leave it all behind, but he's changed his mind, so she's heartbroken. The guy that Clive sleeps with ends up, being part of a fraternity that dumps on him because he's, this guy is not going to accept that he's gay, even though he just had gay sex with somebody in a bathroom, yet he's in complete denial. So these are, again, these terrible things, but then they get there, and when they get there, everybody, everybody there is like them, so they feel very welcome. Gypsy finds out that her mother died 4 years ago, but she sings, and then, everybody's a fan of it, and then at the end, she decides to stay in New York, and Clive decides to go back to Ohio because he misses it, even though, from the beginning, you would have thought that it would probably be the reverse because Gypsy and her father get along fairly well, and Clive seems like more of the outsider. And so at the end, the two of them part, and the whole movie, there's been this running gag that, when she tries to do this twirling thing where she's holding the, I don't know, like her cape or whatever she's wearing, she can't quite keep her balance. So it comes up time and again. And at the end, as he's driving away, he looks in the rear view and she's twirling and she doesn't fall over. It's a very sweet ending. It's a very sweet film. So, again, for a movie from a time period about something that I generally don't care about, I was very pleasantly surprised. Did it change my mind on coming-of-age films? No. This is not the type of movie I would watch very often. This one in particular, though, I would recommend to anybody who likes these types of movies and probably has skipped this for whatever reason, because I never even heard of it. Now, maybe that's because I don't watch a lot of these types of films, so maybe this is more well-known than I think. But it doesn't seem that way. It only made $30,000 at the box office. I don't think this was a high-budget, big theater release movie. I think it won an award somewhere. But yeah, the reviews are generally positive. The biggest complaint a lot of people have is that it's very familiar, and that's my complaint about every coming-of-age film. Also,
well, yeah, but
awesome
that's the
soundtrack.
thing.
If nothing else, bitchin' soundtrack.
Some of these archetypal ideas are retold for new ages. I mean, this is supposed to appeal to, this is to appeal to a certain type of people, a certain time period. Right? You keep retelling these stories because the ideas are important, but you have to reset them so people will connect to them.
Right.
So it's the whole idea that eventually, someone, you mentioned Hughes, people are going to watch The Breakfast Club, and though a lot of the ideas are similar for kids today, they're not going to connect. They need a modern version of The Breakfast Club to connect to their sensibility. I mean, listen, the second you watch a movie, a younger kid watches a movie and there's no cell phones, there's no iPhones, there's no smart, devices, things feel weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so, yeah.
Yeah, this guy has not made a lot of films. He's only made 4 movies, although I will admit his latest one I probably will have to see, because it's called Swan Song, and it's Udo Kier playing a very, very flamboyant hairdresser going across a small town, it says, to style a dead woman's hair. And just based on the outfits that Udo Kier is wearing and some of the images from it, I think I'm going to have to watch it because it looks wild.
God, you know what he looks like in the poster for this?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he looks like
looks like Terrence Stamp.
He looks like Terrence Stamp from Priscilla Queen of the Desert.
But older. Yes, but older.
Oh my God, he looks just like him.
Yeah, so I will probably watch this because this looks
that also has a good
wild
rating to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I this looks interesting. So like I said, this one was a pleasant surprise because, again, the time period, the genre is not at all what I'm normally into, but I wanted to take a chance on it, and I'm glad I did because I think it is a very sweet film. And especially as it is Pride Month, I think that it is... There's nothing in it that I think is going to be overly surprising. Ooh. It does follow a format, but I think the characters sell the whole thing. And I, unlike a lot of people, really like that the ending ends the way that it does. I don't need to have an epilogue on where they ended up. I think that the journey and where they've decided to be is the point. A lot of people complain it doesn't have an ending. They just leave each other. Yeah.
But isn't that the ending?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If you want to go by that, there's a lot of movies. Listen, I just watched Chronicles of Riddick, right?
Oh, boy. Talk about, yeah.
I mean, that's it. The movie ends, but, is that an ending?
Nope. I mean, no. And that's what I'm saying about... That's the thing here, too, is that, you can decide where they ended up afterwards. That's sort of the joy of it. What do you think happened?
That used to be the point, is that your imagination took it from there on.
Yes. I mean, they experienced growth. They are important to each other. I don't think they would never talk to each other again, but sometimes great friends separate at a certain point, and life takes them in different directions. That does happen.
Oh,
again,
man. This movie with Udo Kier sounds very interesting, by the way.
Oh, I want to watch it.
It's a retired hairdresser escapes his small-town nursing home after learning of his former client's dying wish for him to style her final hairdo.
Oh, interesting.
And it's basically, there's a lot of question as to what it's like to be old, to be basically old and gay and alone, and what you get out of society in that. It's very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's in it with Jennifer Coolidge, who's she's always great.
Yeah, she can be very, very funny. So
was it Stifler's mom, right? Stifler's mom?
I think so, yeah. I think that was Stifler's mom. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah,
like I said, I would I don't know, because I watched it on Criterion. Let me see where I think it's on Amazon for probably very cheap. Let's see. It's on any number of free channels, so you can watch it for free. You can watch it on Tubi, you can watch it on the Roku channel. It's $3 on Amazon if you don't want ads. I would recommend it if you like these types of films, meaning coming-of-age films, or I guess goth films, or Stevie Nicks films. Even though none of her songs, they couldn't get her songs for it, so the rest of the soundtrack is still great. The fact that it's set in 2001, because that's when it was made, is very funny. It was obviously pre-9/11, because when they get to New York, the towers are there. So you can definitely tell when movies were made. But I liked it a lot. I thought it was a very endearing film, and I think the characters are great. And their fuck you to anybody who doesn't like what they're doing attitude is, one that we all aspire to in life. Or at least a lot of us do.
I know, and the reality, though, is when you have that mentality, people actually dislike it immensely who are around you. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Like, when we see it in movies, we're like, oh, I want to be that way. But if you are actually that way, where you're like, you stand by what you are, and you're like, oh, whatever, fuck you and your opinion. People get irritated that you don't bow. Well,
and one thing I like about this movie is, for a good probably, like the middle portion when they're on their way, there are parts where they're trying to be, we don't care about things. And then when things go wrong, you can tell they do care. But what changes it is if one of them comes under attack. Then you see the switch goes off and it's like, no, now I don't care because now you're attacking the person I care about. Therefore, I don't give a fuck and I will tear your head off. Which feels very realistic to me, that when it's just you out there, you tend to shield. But if somebody's under attack, then you go into defense mode. And that's what I mean. The characters are well written. The actors it looks like they clearly had good chemistry, that they got along very, because they're so natural that it just sells the whole movie. So like I said, I didn't bother with clips because in a movie like this, clips in isolation don't really work because so much of it is you have to see what's going on. So I didn't bother clipping any of it. because, like I said, the sound clips by themselves might not work without seeing this, the build up to it and everything else.
It doesn't fully communicate it for you.
No, it doesn't with something like this because so much is in the actual actors and what they're doing and the situation and what came with the 10 minutes that built up to this.
Yeah.
So, but I would recommend it. Like I said, as a coming of age film, to see a different viewpoint than certainly the ones I grew up with, which were all basically straight white kids, 99% of them. Like I said, John Hughes films kind of all had the same people doing the same things.
Yeah,
so if you want to see something different.
Comical to me is that I didn't realize that none of those movies were meant for me because I was a Hispanic kid. Like a full-on Hispanic kid who was, living in a...
And I mean, to not over-criticize, there are universals to being young. So it really doesn't matter.
There are. But the thing is, if you're looking for something that specifically speaks to your experience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's more options today than there were in the 90s or the
And to be clear about it, this is also a very white film, because
they're white and gay.
Even, yeah.
Right.
So, but still, that is
at
least off the beaten path to some of what I grew up with. So it's well, I mean, the one woman is heavy set, so there is a weight issue there, or there's a weight component. I shouldn't say issue, weight component that gets brought up. And then Clive is a very skinny kid who doesn't even know it. He at one point is struggling with whether he even wants to be sexual or not. So he doesn't know if he's asexual or not. Now, I don't think that term was in popular use in '01, but that's what he's saying is maybe I'm just asexual. Because there's a point where he's like, I don't even know if I can be called gay because I don't know if I even want to have sex with anybody.
Does he ultimately decide one way or the other?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Once he's in a bathroom stall with another male and they tear each other's clothes off, he makes a decision pretty quick.
Good for him.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that's even kind of ahead of its time because that wasn't something you heard. I don't remember in '01 hearing a lot of people talking about asexuality.
No, but honestly, even gay sex scenes. When did having a gay sex scene become
And let me tell you something.
Normal.
As much as this movie could show you, it shows you a lot.
Like, you remember, Stephen Fry and Jude Law in Wild. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah,
What a big thing that was when they did that. And that's like an aggressive sex scene, too.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not an aggressive one, but I don't recall seeing anything quite this explicit that isn't explicit in a movie before.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say, but it's when you see it, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Whereas, like, today, like, if there's a gay scene in a movie, you're like, well, okay. Like, it's no bigger a thing than anything else. Like, honestly, yeah. Remember Wild Things? They were like, oh, no, the two girls kissed. And everyone was like, oh, right?
Right.
Whereas, like, today, you're like, it doesn't even matter. Like,
Yeah, then you watch Bound and you're like, oh, that's fine.
That's a good movie, though.
That's a great movie.
Let's not put Wild Things and Bound anywhere near each other.
No, I'm just saying that one of those is a shit fest.
Yeah,
and
one of those is
got notoriety because two girls kissed, and the other one is a much better film. At this point, nobody cares, and there's a lot more happening in that one.
Yeah. No, Bound is great.
So, yeah, but that was it. I would recommend it.
Well, then I guess you better sound the horn for our movie.
Thanks for killing my mom.
Hey, no problem.
I finally actually just made a single file out of those.
I love that song. I need to get that song.
Well, my wife and I just watched Death Proof last weekend, and that's the opening thing to it. I'm like, I have that song now. I have the high quality version of that song. My wife, who forgot how much gore is in that film, and I'm like, yeah, you picked this one because she doesn't really like gore. And I'm like, yeah, you forgot the first car wreck scene, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Where there's a leg that comes off and flops, and a girl's face gets burned off with a fucking tire.
Yeah.
By the way, if they had ever, at that time period, remade The Warriors, Vanessa Ferlito would have been perfect in that female's role. She even looks like her, kind of. And with her accent, she would have been... I mean, she probably still could do it. I love Vanessa Ferlito. Her accent is fucking fantastic. Anyway, we did not watch Death Proof. We watched...
Or a remake of The Warriors.
There's... Fortunately, thus far, there has not been a remake of The Warriors. Don't worry. They've been circling it for years. It will happen. but not yet. So, no, what we watched was a sequel to a movie I reviewed, but that you hadn't seen, and it is called Black Cat 2, The Assassination of Boris Yeltsin. And it is, as the title implies...
It's a weird flick.
It's a sequel to Black Cat 1,
Yeah, not having
wildly different film.
Yeah, not having seen the original movie, which I understand is kind of like a Femme Nikita type thing, but with like a...
Yes.
It's a weird flick because it doesn't follow... You want it to follow the sort of Hong Kong action movie like format, but it doesn't. Like, and it's weird because my after having thought about this movie for a little bit, I'm glad that I saw it, but I don't think that it was great. Do you know what I mean? Like, I enjoyed it, but I feel like it missed a few really simple opportunities. Like, this movie was fun, but it was okay. But I feel like if they just had a few more action sequences in this movie, I would have had a much better time. And I think even you saw this in some of these, and because there's a few times even you were like, "Oh, I thought that girl was going to fight that person" or something like that, you know. And some of the fight sequences end when I feel like they're just starting to really get good, and maybe that's just like it's just my expectation. I mean, because like it was like Better Tomorrow 2, right? Which is another sequel that goes in a completely different direction from the first one. That whole movie is so weird. And then when you get to that whole end sequence in the house, where it turns into like just a massive bloodbath, right? It goes on for a while, and it's fucking awesome. Like, and the thing is, you watch that whole movie to get there, and it's great. Whereas with this movie, it's like, I found myself waiting for things to happen, and then when they finally did happen, I was like, okay, now what? And then it would like, they'd pull back. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I enjoyed it, but I wanted them to do more with it, and I feel bad because it if somebody asked me about whether I should see this movie, I'd be like, you should see it, but be prepared to not get what you really want out of it. You know, like I felt like there was so much territory they didn't cover. Like, and we won't even go about the idea of like, oh, there's no ending or something like that. Where like, you know, these movies, they end abruptly, right? So the fact that the girl gets carted off and the guy's like, but she's a person, and then it just ends. You're like, that's the type of movie these are. But like, I just felt like there should have been more. There should have been like the end fight should have gone on for longer, and the woman that was like the female counterpart to the super Russian agent, like there should have been more with her instead of her just getting blown up. It's just all these little things like that. Like the main guy, Robin, I don't feel like that guy got enough of anything. Like basically he gets his ass kicked in the beginning of the movie by Black Cat, and then he like begins to have a fight in the middle of the movie with the big guy with the sledgehammer and the bad hair, right? And you know, he gets his ass kicked, and then she has to come save him, and then the fight comes to an end. In the beginning, there's a big sequence on the mountain. He gets hurt, and it's mostly a chase anyway. Like it's just it's weird. And did we ever find out if this was a co-production between like a Russian studio and a Chinese studio?
It says,
because I wonder if there's like two different sensibilities coming into play here.
Countries of origin are Hong Kong and Canada, but it did film in Russia. So no, this appears to be an entirely, as far as I can tell, this is an entirely Hong Kong production.
Yeah, so it's a weird flick. I'm conflicted by the idea that I like that they tried to do something different with the formula, but then I feel bad that I wanted some of these formulaic elements to come out. You know, like, I feel like the big fight should have been bigger. There should have been more action sequences. There are times in this movie where I was sitting there going, okay, something's going to happen. When's it going to happen? And like waiting for it. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a whole midsection there when they get to Russia and they're looking around and like, and it's not good enough a movie for me to be like riveted. You know what I mean? Like I'm waiting for these action sequences to come in. And I just feel like it was a missed opportunity for them that they didn't do enough of them. And the ones that you do get, they are enjoyable. I mean, the guy with the fucking spider grapple needle hook thing. I mean, that's great, but it's almost like it's so good, and yet you used it so little. Like you get it in the beginning and the end, really. And Black Cat, other than running and having like kind of an internal Wi-Fi for finding the bad guy, I didn't really get enough of her ability through the movie, other than the fact that she's terrible with heat. So it's weird because I enjoyed watching it, but I think I enjoyed watching it with you. If I had watched this movie on my own, I think I would have been underwhelmed.
Well, I don't disagree that it does have I think what it was really missing was probably a mid-film, bigger act, like a car chase. There is a scene where Robin is running after Black Cat in a car, and so there is a car chase, but I don't think it's not bombastic enough. The opening sequence is fantastic. The problem is the movie then tries to chase that first scene and never quite gets back to it. The opening, where there is an assault on a hilltop ski lodge that then results in pew-pew shooting cyber assassins, maybe, going down the hill in skis to snow. Yeah. Like, that is
and that sets you up for an expectation.
Yes, and then when Ivan Drago pulls out his Japanese Spider-Man web slingers and starts whipping around the forest, again, there should have been a big sequence where he and Black Cat are kind of like darting around in the air, and that never really happens. There are points where you see things that you think, oh, there's going to be something big happening. Oh, it didn't happen. So I don't disagree. I think it is a very, very fun movie, but if you go in expecting the heights of what movies like this deliver, you will probably be let down a bit.
And the thing is, it surprised me. It did surprise me a bunch of times with the shit that it pulled. And I think that's the thing is that I'm not unhappy that I saw it, and I'm not unhappy with the things that I got. I just wanted more. I wanted a bigger fight sequence at the end. I wanted, like you said, I wanted a bigger mid sequence. I mean, there's a bunch of at one point they try to assassinate Yeltsin, and Yeltsin is saved by his own, I guess, buffoonery, right? And then that could have been an action sequence, but instead the villain runs away. He jumps down a tunnel, and he's gone, and that's it. There's nothing, and you get all these kind of these like almost like constipated sequences where like an action sequence is going to happen now. No, it isn't. Now there's going to be an action sequence. No, it doesn't. And even when you get one of the more shocking moments where the little girl, shoots Yeltsin.
Oh yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was expecting something big right after that, and then again, it just turns into kind of like a tepid chase.
Yes, it definitely. I mean, the ending was missing. We do get a fight scene with Ivan Drago where he is burned and is fighting. So
and
that's
it's
nice.
fun, and it's fun. But you wanted it to go further, and I wanted the woman that he was with to fight Robin.
Well, it's weird because they set her up as if she's going to be something, and then she's nothing.
Yeah.
So, I don't disagree. It's not a great movie. It's a lot of fun. The part where the 10-year-old ballerina pulls out a pistol to assassinate Boris Yeltsin.
No, that caught me by surprise.
Is one of those moments where I'm like, you know what? I can forgive everything that came before because I made a joke in our commentary that, oh, wouldn't it be great if this girl pulled out a pistol? And then she pulls out a pistol. It was me making a joke.
Yeah.
And the movie then immediately did it.
And earlier on in the movie where you find out that Black Cat basically has an internal radiation meter where she and she goes and she shoots an old lady in the face, essentially, right? And we're sitting there going, why the hell did she do that? And then I said something like, I wonder if it's the chemotherapy drugs. And they're like, oh, we think that there was a miscalculation with chemotherapy. I was like, you know what? I like that whoever was writing this had some level of logic that they were functioning on. But I think what it is that it wanted to, maybe that it just wanted to be more of a serious film and yet have these fantastic elements. And it's like, well, if you're going to have these fantastic elements, then why not just go all the way and have fun? Make it fantastical, you know? Whereas I think they just they kept trying to ground it back to this whole, you know, and yeah. So I'm glad we saw it together, but I wouldn't have watched this on my own. Or if I did, I would have been underwhelmed.
Well, I have the box set. I'm not sorry I got it because I think I will probably, not probably every year, but I do find these types of movies very charming. And I don't, you know, because they're short.
She's very good. I mean, she's a good fighter. The fight sequences are great. I do like the finale fight where basically he's got the whip hooks and he's got the sword belt and she's just, you know, fucking thrashing him. Like, that sequence is great. It's just that should have been more of the movie. Should have been that you basically have bookends. You got a really great opening and you got a really great ending, and everything in the middle is kind of like momentary. There's moments of hope, and then you're kind of like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah, I don't disagree that there's probably at least one more big opening level action sequence that is missing. They do a lot of smaller action sequences, which is fine, except, as you said, the thing is you get that opening, which makes you think there's going to be another thing like that at some point, typically towards, and in most movies, it would be in the middle. You basically have the big one in the beginning, big one in the middle, big one is the finale, and that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
Right? And in the best examples of these movies, for example, Yes, Madam, which we will be watching, you do get those, and that's what makes, I mean, you get all these things, and then you get a finale that is unequaled in any other film I've ever seen in terms of awesomeness. So it does build up to that, and then you get it. Whereas in this one, you get the two ends, and the stuff in the middle.
Well, I mean,
is, it stops.
I'm going to compare it to Better Tomorrow too, because Better Tomorrow is very similar in that the first Better Tomorrow movie is one way, and then Better Tomorrow 2 goes a completely different way, right? And the beginning of that movie is kind of slow, and you're kind of sitting there. I mean, you do get to that point where Chow Yun-fat is trying to feed the guy rice, where you're like, "What am I watching here? Like, what's going on?" Right? But because your expectations are so low, when you get to that final sequence of the movie where they all dressed in black and it becomes, you know, gun ballet for like 20 minutes. It's amazing. Like, but that movie did not promise me anything. You know, it kind of had a low simmer until the end, and then it exploded. Whereas with this movie, it's they're going in a different direction from the first one. You give me this explosive opening sequence, and then you just throw it on a simmer, and I'm sitting there going, okay, well, when's the next big thing going to happen? And then when I get to the end, I get an action sequence that almost can't live up to the opening. Do you know? Like it's and there's like little.
No, you're right. The opening is the best part in terms of action of the whole film. There's no doubt about it. There are wonderful moments throughout the rest of it, but in terms of an action set piece from beginning to end, the assault on the ski lodge is the best thing.
Yeah, I mean, like the guy in the woods. The problem is when he shoots the grappling hook, it's like 2 minutes, and he's gone.
Yeah, no.
You know?
The joy of that scene is the fact that these guys in this, this Toyota truck are firing pew pew guns at military officers who apparently, even though there's 8,000 of them, they cannot hit them until the one guy gets out of the car and is just standing right in front of them, and they all shoot him down.
Yeah, it's very Stormtrooper. Yeah.
It's very Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
And it's hysterical because at no point do they ever seem under threat. They don't even seem that bothered. They're just like,
there's a lot of little sequences, but none of them are kind of good enough to hold water for the whole movie. You know,
for most people, they probably would pass this over in terms of like Heroic Trio. I think you and I both said it was better.
Oh yeah,
Heroic Trio was a better film.
I want to see the
sequel
to that.
That one layered in fight after fight, and if they're fighting, knew how to set up fights
and
with the right
various
people.
Different kinds of fights as well.
Yes.
Because I mean, at that one point, the girl goes in on a rocket garbage can and it's just shooting people left and right. You know.
Oh, Maggie Chung.
They had all the different fighting styles in that movie as well, based on their the kind of hero they were.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I mean, some movies do better than others.
The interesting part about because you didn't see the first one, the interesting thing about these two movies in particular is that that in themselves they're very different. Where Black Cat 1 is more about Black Cat, and you get a lot more of her and her backstory. And
I got no sense of her in this movie.
Very, very little. You get more of her in her flashbacks than you do in this movie in terms of what her character is.
She's very
No,
vague
they basically, I think they really counted on people just having watched the first one or not caring. You get, that's... And so if you're going in for that, that's the first movie. If you're looking for more of a popcorn type film where it's just like, okay, there's going to be a grandma who gets shot and her brains go over a clown, that's the second movie. and you will literally get that scene.
And they play that over and over again.
As they should, because
you get that in the credits.
Boy, yes, you do. You get all the big stuff in the credits.
And like I said, it's those moments that get you through the middle of the movie. Because you're sitting there going, is she going to shoot her? Oh my God, she shot her. And like, that's funny, but I'm not going to, like, there's no shock factor the second viewing of that movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I have a feeling I'd be a lot more, like, there's a drop off when you watch a movie, right? You watch the first time and you're like, whoa, and then the second time you see it, you're less excited. And then there's certain movies where, like, because you end up loving them, you get more excited. So, for example, watching Predator. Predator's fucking amazing. Every time I see Predator, I'm like, oh my God, this movie's great, right? And so now it's almost like my enjoyment goes up when I see it, right? I feel like this movie is going to have a massive drop off because after you see it the first time, you know all the little shocks that are going to happen between the ski chase and the airport fight. So you're kind of just sitting there waiting for the airport fight because like no romance is going to bloom between these two characters. You're not going to find out more information about the girl. They're going to shut her off anytime something interesting is about to really happen, and then you get the airport fight. So like I feel like this movie is going to have a massive you were saying you'll watch this movie once a year. I can't see myself watching this movie again.
And I think for me it's interesting because what you're saying is true, but it works inverse on me. Because now I know that there isn't going to be a big scene that this is building up to, my expectations are correct. Whereas, okay, the beginning and the end are going to be action. I'm going to be paying attention. The middle, I'm going to be kind of chuckling at when they're saying things like, she's susceptible to heat. Can we upgrade her firmware? No, she's not a video game, damn it. Like stuff like that, I will find amusing no matter how many times I see it. The CIA guys.
I love the black CIA agent who kept looking at the camera.
Yeah, stuff like that. Stuff like that.
That's funny.
Or where you can see the wires very clearly. Like stuff like that doesn't bother me.
No, and the thing is, there are movies that are worth watching with people, and there's movies that you watch them again on your own. And for me, I'd watch this again with friends. For you, this is a no. But not by myself.
But not by yourself.
Yeah.
And I would watch this again by myself and go, oh, that black cat. Not an ounce of emotion until she sees a kitten. And then they abandon it just as quickly. Oh, and then they find it again. Okay, great. So, yeah, it's not even for me, it's not an unqualified, everybody must watch it type of movie, but it's a fun watch if you're in the mood for something like this. The problem is it's very hard. I mean, I'm sure it's on YouTube or somewhere, but it's not on any of the major streaming services that I can find. I basically ripped my Blu-ray of it, and that's how we watched it.
And here's the thing, to go back to the comparison with Better Tomorrow 2. I wouldn't suggest that everyone should see Better Tomorrow 2. Better Tomorrow 1 is an okay movie. It's Chow Yun-Fat's in it. I liked watching a lot of Chow Yun-Fat movies. It's an interesting movie. It's less gonzo than the second one. I think the second one
that's for sure
is a much better movie because it gets so gonzo.
Well, and that's kind of this too, is the same type.
But there's a lot of people that I don't think would sit through the whole kind of slow simmer of the movie to get to that big final sequence.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, you're probably right.
But to me, like the first time I saw that movie, when I got to the end and they throw those suits on and they fucking show up and just all this madness, I'm like, holy shit, this movie's amazing. Like you can see that movie's influence on a lot of Tarantino.
Sure.
But I don't know if I think that you have far more people that are in line with the kinds of movies you like than it kind of in my world. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know if I would suggest this movie to a lot of people, whereas I think you could suggest that movie to people.
I think for people who like the stuff I like, this is a mid-tier entry. So it's definitely not bad. And it definitely has fun parts that are worth rewatching.
It's just not great.
No, and I was going to say, but it's not something that I would put into my top, let's say, 25 or 30 list. However, I will also say for people who get charmed by seeing people in their first films, if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, this is Robin Shao. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right. This is his first film. And he's ripped,
in
and you
great
can see
shape.
why they picked him for Liu Kang. Yeah, I mean, you can see why they were like, this is Liu Kang, and he's great. So yeah, you're going to get to see a lot of him oily and shirtless running around.
And if you, if you like sweaty
ladies.
women, there's a mid sequence in this movie that's wet as hell.
Yep, very, very. A lot of somebody with a spray bottle shooting water onto a woman's body and face. Yeah, as you said, they do know how to put martial artists into comfortable clothing that they can do martial arts in.
They have
so you get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Russian guy looks every bit as blonde Russian Ivan Drago as possible.
No, but the
Boris
worst part
Yeltsin's
is
lookalike. Not
it's
bad.
funny. But the thing is, the second that guy with the bowl cut, the shirtless guy with the bowl cut and the sledgehammer shows up, he makes Ivan Drago look less amazing.
Well, and that sequence where they have the fight in the ironworks, that should have been at the midpoint of the movie.
It should have been bigger. It should have been bigger,
I was going to
too.
say, and it should have been 10 minutes longer, and there should have been, she gets hit in the head with a piece of something. That should have been like a forklift that they did a bunch of stunts on.
Yeah,
and
that should have been the
the
beginning of the next sequence of the fight, not just the end.
Yeah. And this is the type of movie where you can
Robin gets to fight their way out.
Well, this is where like Jackie Chan would have made this movie. If he was involved, this movie would have had those big sequences where that ironworks scene would have been life-threatening.
He knew how to do it. He always knew how to do it.
Yeah. So that's what we mean about it's definitely for completion. If it's something that looks interesting, you should watch it. Whether you'll ever watch it again will probably depend on whether you're more into the stuff that Lando's into or whether you're into the stuff that I'm into. Somebody like me will own the box set, as I do. Most people would probably watch this once and go, all right, that was fun, and forget about it. No indictment either way.
I put this in the same category as all those Michael Pare movies I watched in the 90s, 2000s.
Sure.
These B-movie action movies.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
They're not terrible. They're not great. They're just kind of, it's just kind of there.
Well,
they do some interesting things, but then they also miss a lot of things,
They clearly set up a third movie that never got made, so that should tell you how well it landed.
Yeah, and the thing is, I would watch the sequel. Like if there was a sequel to this, I would watch it because I am curious where they plan to go next with that setup. And I'm kind of bummed that there isn't another one.
Yeah, I wish that they had come back to this, say, 5 years later with a better stunt team. Once. Well, the 90s, a lot of things were changing, and I think this was just at the wrong time. I think if these movies had come out, because the first one was 91, this one was 92, I would guess if the first one had been 85 and the second one had been 86, we probably would have seen a third one, and it might be a classic. It might be one of those like, oh man, the third one, they pulled
just watch
out
the third
all
one
the
type of
stops.
thing, yeah.
Right, yeah. So, but again, a fun movie to watch once. So since it's free, this isn't the free one. The other one was the free one. Let's see, hold on. Let's take a quick look. YouTube. Let's see. Go to YouTube and let's look up Black Cat 2. And let's see if I see it. Does anybody have the full movie?
You might have to look it up by its original name too.
Yeah, I'm looking to see. Actually, hold on. Instead of doing it, I don't know why.
What year was it?
Here we go. 92. There's lots of trailers.
A lot of trailers.
I don't see it yet. Oh, here it is. Full movie. Yeah, it's on there. Hold on, I'm scrubbing. It is. Is this the actual movie? Oh no. Sorry, this is a different movie. No, I can't find it yet. See, that's the only bad thing about it.
And the sad thing about it is that it doesn't look bad. It's not filmed poorly.
No. We were talking about how the opening ski stunts, they clearly had a lot of people who knew how to ski.
Yeah, you just want I just wanted more out of it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree that there was at least one major sequence.
And some of this
and it would have
poster
been
art
the
for
ironworks.
some of the poster art for this movie is fantastic too.
Yeah, it's wild.
Holy
Yeah, it's
shit!
great.
Have you seen some of
Yeah.
these?
Oh yeah, they're great. They're
God,
great.
this-
And I have
this-
the Blu-ray has a bunch of them as alternates too.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are really good.
Yeah.
Like almost.
I mean,
you know when you see a poster for a movie and you're like, that's better than the movie.
oh, definitely, yes.
This has got a few of those.
Well, this is of the era where that was very
like
true.
the one with all. Did you get the box set where all the guns are around her? The big circle.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few some really good ones. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think the thing that's a bummer to me is I wish it was on some type of service that you could watch it cheaply, because, you know, I can't necessarily recommend most people buy the Blu-ray box set.
No.
This is a movie I think people should watch once. I did,
Yeah.
because I'm sort of a built-in audience for this stuff. Okay, it is on. Hold on, is this the whole movie? It looks like it is on DailyMotion.com. Yeah, jeez. Yep, it sure is from that opening, because the volume is very loud. Yeah. So I will leave it to people to find it, but I do think it's a shame that it's not more readily available, only because then I would tell people, well, watch it once and then decide whether you want to own it. I watched the first one and bought the box set based on that. And I'm not sorry I did, because I thought the first one was interesting. As a Hong Kong La Femme Nikita, I thought it was an interesting movie. Very different from this one. But a fun, if you have the opportunity to watch it.
You know what's funny? I just typed in Black Cat 2 with the actress Jade Long, right? And you know what came up? No, you know what came up? Yes, madam. HQ final fight scene.
Well, don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't watch it.
I'm not. I'm looking at the other. I'm trying to find this movie for people.
But of course you're going to find that, because that is the greatest final female fight scene that's ever been made and ever will be made. And no one will ever convince me otherwise. In the exact same way that the end of Return of the Jedi is the greatest space battle that will ever be committed to film. I don't care what they ever make. It's never going to top it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's the end of Yes, Madam.
I saw this great thing the other day where they were talking about how the song Thunder by AC/DC makes
great song.
any action sequence better. And then they cut it to the Death Star run.
Sure.
And I was like, yeah, you know what? Makes it better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That music makes everything better.
It really, yeah. There's a reason they play it at almost every sporting event at some point.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is definitely not on YouTube that I can find.
Yeah, I found it on Dailymotion. I'm sure there are other sites that have
But
it.
to some degree, Black Cat is a play on La Femme Nikita.
Oh, without a doubt.
And La Femme Nikita is such a good
It's Femme
movie.
Nikita with a brain chip.
Yeah, go watch La Femme Nikita if you can't find Black Cat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in objectivity,
Yeah.
La Femme Nikita is a far superior film. The Long
Kiss Goodnight?
Kiss Goodbye is a better film. Long Kiss Goodnight, not Goodbye. Yes,
Oh,
is a
with,
better film
yeah.
with Gina Davis.
Yeah.
Like these are great films. So if you're great or nothing, well, there's two movies you'd watch instead. But if you're looking for something you likely haven't already seen, that's sort of the same. These two movies are interesting to watch because the tone is such a shift, kind of like what you were talking about. It's such a tonal shift, but also the lead actress in the first movie is given a lot more to do.
Yeah.
And then in the second one, it's interesting to see her just as a pure, like, Terminator.
Yeah, they really went catatonic on her personality.
Yeah, and then the parts where they're basically using an infrared remote to power her off are hysterical.
Oh,
the little red laser beam off switch that they
that's
deploy
the thing you use
3 or
to
4
lock
times.
your car. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. His little fob to
Beep, beep. Yeah.
power her down. You know. Oh, and before I forget,
200 hours later.
That's such a shame too, because we were like right at the end.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's all right. Better late than never. Sons of Steel is a movie I'd recommend to anybody, because holy shit. But we already said that.
Yeah. It's a shame that it's a shame that there's not at least like a long act. You know what? Hold on. I wonder if just the opening is on here, because that's a good way to.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
If you could just watch if you just watch the opening and the fight at the end.
Yeah, if the opening and ending are there, you can watch those. Yeah.
Hold on. Are they here? No, I can't even find that. Shit, that sucks.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, for people who are genuinely interested, they'll find a copy. They'll find a copy. Right? They will.
Oh, if you want to see it, you want to see it. Yeah. Hey, listen, there was a time where there was no fucking streaming where you had to just go to the video store and buy this shit.
Yep.
So, you know.
Yeah. and the other side of it being tough to find is, I also am not sitting here telling you it's something you've got to find no matter what. If you have the chance to watch it and you're inclined to watch these types of things, you'll probably have at least one good time with it. And if you never watch it again, it was a fun one-time watch. And if you don't get to see it, well, you know what?
I did enjoy it.
You 2 other movies, that you can watch.
But watch it with your friends. So, these movies are always better when you watch them with your friends.
Yeah, this one is probably going to be more enjoyable. You know what? Actually, here's my true recommendation. Here it is. Find somebody who is okay watching these movies and doesn't know anything about it, like I did, and watch it with them. Because it will be more fun for you when they encounter these things. I'll say it like that. And then you can decide after that whether you think it's something that you would watch again yourself. And then if you're so inclined, you can. And that's it. So, but as I said, Gypsy 83, I would say, if you've never seen it, you like coming of age films, that's one I would recommend. Don't pass it up. Because, you might look at that director's filmography and go, well, this guy hasn't directed a lot of stuff, so I don't know. But I would watch that one. I actually, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. And that one's a lot easier to find. Black Cat 2, that's the trickier one. You're going to have to make that decision and decide whether the journey to find a copy one way or another, if you're not going to buy it, is worth the effort for you. That one is a harder one for me to universally say yes or no to. So, but at the very least, you have something I would recommend with no hesitation. And the other one, that's a trickier one. But if you do watch it alone or with people, you'll probably have at least one good time with it. And honestly, I don't know that there's even that many movies that come out lately that I could even honestly say that I'd have one good time with. So to find anything is good. And on that note, that's it. So end of the show. Thanks for being here. SupportOurShow.com. And that's it. Talk to you again next week. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes, browse through our back catalog, or to find links to support the show. Follow @OzoneNightmare on Twitter for the latest episode postings and other show information. If 280 characters just isn't enough, you can always email us, theozonenightmare@gmail.com. The opening theme for the show is provided by Heartbeat Hero. The closing theme is provided by Ogre. Please visit and support these artists using the links in the show notes for each episode.